Have we always had that animation, or did you just do that, John? You just did it? It's so fancy. Well, welcome to this very special episode of the Third Podcast.
A new era. The very beginning of the animated lights.
Yes. Wow. And the end, right, John?
I'm going to look back at this moment.
We have a very special guest today. A real celebrity. Damien Kulash. Kulash?
I accept both. Apparently, when people ask me, I say Kulash.
Kulash.
And when I actually say my name, I say Kulash. I'm like, I'm Damien Kulash. And how do you pronounce it? I'm like, Kulash.
Okay.
My wife is the first one to have figured out that pattern.
Nice.
My kids are quite clear that they would like it to be Kulash. So I guess we're there.
Why? Do they have it? What's the...
I think they just need to have an opinion about everything. They're seven. I have 7-year-old twins, and if they don't like know the answer to everything, then the world starts to fall apart. So.
Do they think you're cool or no?
Yes, they do. I'm not uncool yet.
Yeah.
But they're really good at rolling their eyes and daddy. I really love to embarrass them, and it's pretty easy.
What age do you think that it won't be cool anymore? Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's coming fast. It's coming fast. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It depends. If it's about music or pop culture, I would assume that is a pretty distinct moment in the 5th grade range where it's suddenly you have to. My kids are in 2nd grade. It's I think there's going to be a moment where suddenly you have to wear your the bands you listen to and stuff as on your sleeve as a badge of identity. And then your dad has got to be the single least cool person in the universe.
Right.
But they're already making exceptions for me in their mind because my daughter said the other day, she said, well, my son was saying that he was I like action music. I like horror music. I like
horror music.
I don't know.
What is horror music? Five Nights at Freddy's soundtrack?
Yeah. Except he's never seen a horror film. He's 7 years old, but he wants music that his music needs to have a it needs to have a narrative to it. A narrative he can build. It has to be exciting. The music is not about a satisfying chord change or clever lyrics or whatever. It's it's about what he wants is John Williams. He loves to listen to Star Wars soundtrack. And even not having seen Star Wars, he'll be I can hear it. Darth is about to get Luke. Darth is definitely about to get Luke.
Epic storytelling music?
Epic storytelling music. He really, really, really is into Les Miserables. And what he refers to as spy music. Well, it is spy music. He told me in the car, he's I want spy music. And so I found just a playlist of spy music, which is all 60s, 70s funk, jazz, spaghetti western thing. And he loves it. And so but his music has to, it's all mood based and it has to basically make him feel like a ninja.
What about the other child?
That
doesn't care about music at all?
She likes to follow along, what he likes. She's yeah, that is cool. And she's and I don't really what did she call it? She's I don't really like cute music except yours.
Your music is cute.
She apparently mine is, I was
interesting.
And she was well, I mean, you have some sad songs.
Okay.
And I don't know. But the point of all this is that I don't know. I'm already an exception. They're very vehemently against radio pop music, which I'm mad at them about because even though
they're 7 years old and they have these opinions.
Someone at school has told them that it's not cool to Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift adjacent, which I think is it's really lame of them to have decided that without having
an opinion why,
right?
Yeah.
It's always it's about trying to find obscure music and discovering something.
But at 7? Really?
I mean, they're ahead of the curve there.
Kevin, what were you doing when you were 7?
I don't know. I definitely listened to music. We had hit clips. I got my first
worms
MP3
off the
player.
ground when I
could
was
fit
7.
maybe 100 songs on it, and it was my favorite. I just go on LimeWire, download music. Sorry.
When you were 7, you were not on LimeWire when you were 7 years old.
I was definitely. Yeah,
no,
my dad.
weren't.
Yeah.
Kevin, I got internet when I was 10.
My dad was
11.
he was a computer programmer. He worked at Apple. So
They're all babies.
Yeah.
I was definitely playing video games. I liked music. I had opinions.
You had LimeWire.
I liked the Beach Boys. I liked Simon and Garfunkel.
Good choices. Good choices.
Well, my mom did. Therefore,
did you turn against them when you were in 5th grade?
Oh no.
When did it happen?
I don't think I ever really turned against them. Led Zeppelin. That's the kind of music my mom listened to.
Yeah.
Nigel, what
The
did you
Beatles, I
listen
kinda
to
turned
in-
against
in
them a little
third
bit.
grade, second grade? Did you listen to any music in second grade?
My entire musical preferences were shaped by my dad. So it was my dad grew up, as a guitarist and in a band. So he loved like Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
what did
remember
you
everything.
love?
So I loved what my dad loved. That's all I listened to.
And did
then
you ever turn
my
against
friend,
it?
I never. No, I would say I never turned against it, but I will add that during that time, I was very into pop music. So that's kind of like my personal like preference, I guess, was that. But then I also liked everything my dad played.
Yeah.
So I never turned against it, but I probably just like over time listened to it less.
Okay.
I remember the CD.
But I still do listen to some of it today.
There was a CD in my house that I think my parents bought because it was funny because it was like native like pan flute music or something.
Oh god, that's the worst.
And the title of the CD was Caca Fiesta.
I can understand why they thought it was funny.
I remember like thinking it was a bop. It was sort of very like I don't know how to describe.
I feel like I've already been so negative, but I'm just gonna keep going worse.
Let's go.
Well, because I really love basically like I really love the breadth and scope of what music can bring into our lives, with the exception of pan flute. I went to
let's okay. You keep talking. I'm gonna like pull up an example to make sure we all know what
I
pan
went
flute
to
is.
Peru to go to Machu Picchu, and like what they do in like that's the music of Peru is pan flute,
Okay.
and specifically
Pan flute.
Oh,
well that could be any flute, but it sounds like it's gonna go.
Dracula. Do 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 do.
Yeah, do you know El Casapando Panacasa, like the it's like the theme song of Peru is that Simon and Garfunkel song. I mean, Simon and Garfunkel stole it from Peru to make a song out of. Come on.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
They'll give it back eventually.
well, no, they won't. Oh man, come on! Do we have to get our phones out and do this?
Well, yeah, we could do that.
The box.
You guys
Here,
the boxer.
amongst
okay,
yourselves.
how about we? I
Mrs.
feel like we should give you a
Robinson.
proper introduction.
Bridge over troubled water.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Have you ever seen? This is to the
Scarborough
viewer,
Fair.
to the viewer, the listeners and the viewers. Those music videos on the internet. Those music videos. The music videos that people who
The
make music
cool
videos
ones.
look at and they say, "Oh, we should make a music video like that," and then they don't. That's what Damien does. He's the treadmill guy. Do you want? Is that insulting?
It is both insulting and accurate.
Because that was how long ago, and how is like being defined by something that happened that long ago? Feel?
It was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
You've done stuff since then.
no, not really. I'm busy. I'm trying to find some Simon and Garfunkel for you guys. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
I do have to say that my mom played that music video so many times.
Which one?
The treadmill one.
Yeah.
That it did start to annoy me.
Oh, you do hate it. Well, now's your chance.
Oh, no.
Well, she also I don't know. She liked U2. She started
Oh.
being like really Apple core in a way. Like
Apple Core.
Yeah, like any
That's-
music that Apple had on their commercials, my mom was into.
Okay.
El Condor Pasa, if I could. Is this how you guys like to listen to music on here?
Yeah. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Hold it up to the.
How's that sound, John?
I think it needs to be louder.
It's coming. This is the part of that better. Come on.
Ah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, this makes me feel like old people. Like
Well, it's very old people. This
yeah.
is like thousands of years old. This is that is the
Yeah,
that
but,
is
like,
the
younger
theme
than that.
song.
like old Swedish people.
I do not like that particular song.
Why do I feel old Swedish people? Am I the only one that feels old Swedish
You
people
should
when I
be
listen to
feeling
that?
old Peruvian people.
Old Peruvian people?
Yeah, I think
And you
where
cannot go
Swedish is coming
anywhere in
from.
Peru without that playing on a pan flute.
Mm.
Wow.
And pan flute, like pan flute music in general is the one. It's my 1 week spot. I
Yeah.
can't
Can't do it. Like reverse busking, you pay them to stop playing.
But then you feel like a real asshole because it's like this is the national heritage. Like this is the thing people love here. It just doesn't.
It just keeps going. I mean, it does. It has like a sort of shrill, like
all of those basic whistle instruments,
Yeah.
like recorders,
recorder.
the penny whistle,
Recorder,
Yeah.
exactly.
they're all kind of just like they're so flat sounding.
Well, and you know why?
just
Because
hollow.
the physics of them is identical. Like
Yeah.
So we made a video. We have made other videos aside from the treadmill video.
I haven't seen them.
I didn't think so. We made one where we played instruments using a car. So we drove. I got stunt driving lessons.
Oh, the Chevy.
That's
I have
right.
seen them.
You have seen it. And you even know who paid for it. So
Yeah.
it worked.
It didn't look like a new car though, so I'm not sure it was the best advertising for them.
I think it was wonderful.
They sent you the base model.
They- Anyways, we had to figure out like what are the ways you can make sound.
Yeah.
Because it was like what we have is a ton of kinetic energy here and nothing else. So like you can hit something that makes a sound. You can scrape something that makes a sound. There's like all the, you get into like there's categories of sound vibrations that you can make doing different things. And that one, the flute one, it doesn't matter whether it's a glass tube or it's a metal tube or it's a plastic tube, because what's happening is it's actually the turbulence of the air inside that's making that, right? So like as long as the shape is a tube, you're going to get that sound. So you don't get anything other than that one sound.
Yeah.
And I do not like that sound.
Yeah. Did you use one of those on the?
We tried. What we did was we like built out of the sunroof. We built essentially a pan flute that we could stick out of the sunroof, and we went on the highway to see if we could like figure out how to play it at different speeds. But what happens is the resonant, like the sort of standing wave you get in there is different at different speeds. So it's pretty hard to predict what you're going to get out of a particular. Like if you blow over a bottle, you get that note. But if you could blow 5 times as fast, it would like hit different notes, right? So you have to be going a very specific speed and know which one of the different pipes you're going to use. And in the end, we basically didn't use that. It was fun to test.
Yeah.
And people definitely thought we were like on the highway holding a tube out the window is scary for people.
Yeah.
But it's also why it's different. Have you ever seen someone swing around one of those like these tubes?
Yeah. Yeah.
You notice they're always ridged, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like
Because-
corrugated kind
Oh
of.
yeah, those are
Yeah.
fun.
Because if you just swing around a pipe, if you swing around a hose, you're going to get the wind going across the edge of it. If you swing around a ridge tube, you actually get the turbulence going in and out of it.
Right.
Oh,
So you get-
really? So it's like a centrifugal. It's not just like blowing over a glass bottle and
Yeah,
getting
I mean,
that.
look, obviously you can't just be continuing to evacuate air from the thing, or you get a vacuum in there. I'm not exactly sure why that makes.
Well, usually, I mean, they have holes on the top and the bottom.
so maybe it does just like.
Yeah.
It like sucks
I could
air
see
out.
that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen? I've seen there's like a some clip of a Japanese guy on like an educational Japanese show where he like makes a vacuum with one of those. He like holds one end and he like whips the end around and it like sucks all the.
Whoa, I had no idea that's how it works.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that either. If I've ever had a pinch and need a
So you
vacuum
were
cleaner.
watching that and not watching our music videos?
Okay, so that's a lie. I watched all your music videos last night.
No.
And I had ad block enabled,
Good.
but I have YouTube Premium.
Okay.
So somebody got paid. I don't know if it was you. I'm not sure how that works.
Oh, I see what you're saying. This is about YouTube economics. I don't. That's
no YouTube.
I don't know how to think about that stuff.
Oh, good.
If I knew how to make money off of YouTube or like in this space, I would. I mean, you can't be in a rock band and think you're doing it for money. You'd
Right.
be a moron.
Do you live for art or do you art to live? Does that
Somewhere in
sound deep?
between. It really depends what era of my life you're talking about.
Okay.
Like
that's interesting.
I'm a great deal older than you, baby. You
No.
tiny babies. No, I totally.
you just turned. Well, you're like barely 40.
I'm 50.
Oh fuck.
You see, you can't even have me in here. Like
My
this place is
condolences.
about to explode.
Yeah.
And when when you guys are talking about having internet as children, it hurts my soul because you're babies.
Yeah.
And like you're lesser humans than I am.
You guys had like rocks and sticks and stuff.
Sometimes, if we could find them.
If you-
Yeah, like it was largely just a big vacuum. Like everything was a vacuum, and once in a while there was matter.
The good days.
Yeah, exactly. No, my first like email address was in college,
Mhm.
and after school, I grew up wanting to be a visual artist, or at least thinking of myself primarily in those terms.
Like
but-
movie effects? What is
No,
it?
no, like painting.
Oh, okay.
That's what we used to do.
Ah,
we
what's
used to paint
painting?
and draw. It's like
Like an
it's
iPad?
like it's like toothpaste but different colors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I understand.
But I went to school, and like in college, I found that the conceptual framework around modern art was distasteful to me. Not always, but I had done a lot of like I had a pretty good education in sort of like in that. And when I went to school, and there were kids who were like going like, I can throw my feces at a canvas, and that's like I was like,
That was a thing?
yeah.
Holy
Um,
shit. That's awesome. That's art?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm having the same reaction right now as I did then. Well, I just like I wasn't that interested in the conversation around it. I was interested in the effects of
Yeah.
it and the feeling around it.
Yeah.
Like, and I do love the conversations that starts, but
Mm.
it's a fine line when you get into like it's actually all about the essay that you write about the thing that you
You like
made.
doing stuff.
Exactly. I like doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I like the effect of that stuff. So at the same time, I had been really into punk rock in Washington, D.C., where I grew up. And that was sort of my social scene. And at college, I had the opportunity to like do a lot of a very highfalutin art, or go into this electronic music studio that no one was using at my school. And like, I was so excited about, oh God, here it comes.
Oh, no.
That is
Wait.
a bass or baritone recorder or
yeah.
something.
I just wanted to like leave it here.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Did you like call in a drop?
Yeah, from your sister.
That's like you can get one of those on Instacart.
Yeah.
So you had this lab to yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had this music studio to my, not technically to myself, but like
Wasn't popular.
that was a place I could go and like it was all fresh and new to me, and the idea and like learning how to record music and write music and like get that world of sensations out of that bunch of machines
Mhm.
was like a really thrilling adventure to go on. So I came out of college with a bunch of like visual art skills that I could use to get jobs, and a bunch of like music and music adjacent like engineering skills that I would rather like that would be an awesome world to live in. And of course I would love to be in a rock band, but I mean, what are the chances, right?
Yeah.
So I moved to Chicago, where I had a bunch of friends who were in rock bands, going like, at least it's cheaper than New York, where if I want to like have a practice space, I'll be doing 90-hour a week somewhere, and started a rock band at the same time that I was doing like Photoshop work for ad agencies.
Ah.
And that is like, so my I was definitely like, music was my art by that point.
Mhm.
And it was definitely like, everything else is in support of me getting to do this. And I understand that like the likelihood of me doing this as a job is extremely low, but if I do sort of adjacent things that don't suck too much of my soul out,
Yeah.
then I'll be getting better at those things and like kind of keeping the opportunities alive.
That's such a good way to approach it. I feel like a lot of people, they're like all or nothing. Like, oh, I got to drop out of school to do YouTube. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
like I think even for us, like going to school was the foundation of what we ended up doing on YouTube. Like like the tangible skills and the experience and the relationships helped us get better at the thing that was kind of the pipe dream.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that helped you. It's like, it's not just music.
It did. I would say that the flip side is this, is that I know a lot of people who came out of school going like, I want to be a filmmaker. And the only way to be a filmmaker is to work at this ad agency. And so I'm going to work at this ad agency while I'm getting my film career off the ground. And 30, 40 years later are angry filmmakers at ad agencies.
Mm.
Because there is, and I will say, like, I through a random like sequence of events was really good at Photoshop in the late 90s, when that wasn't a thing people largely did. And so I could get paid a lot to go do like hourly work for ad agencies. And so I'd do 8 hours of work or 10 hours of work at this ad agency, literally like total grunt work. Like, I used to make banner ads of the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Really?
Yeah, being like, poke me. You know, like whatever. Somebody else would make the animation or whatever, and I would just like have to assemble it and clean it up.
What was like the hourly rate for that back then?
It was $50 an hour
back then
in '98.
Whoa, that's awesome!
Right, it was enough to pay for the entire band. Like I
Yeah.
literally paid everyone's rent for a couple of years.
Pillsbury
Wow.
Doughboy.
Right, but I will say this: that it was that after 8 hours of that, I was utterly like shredded, tired, and angry, and despairing.
Yeah, I mean,
Because-
looking at the Pillsbury Doughboy for that,
I don't wanna feel like-
I feel the same way.
And even the font chosen for that particular, it was like a horrible font.
Yeah,
And horrible colors. And this is why it was so exhausting to me, is that creative work, you could kind of boil down to like, it's not really this, but sort of approximated by the idea of lots and lots and lots of binary decisions really fast, right?
Yeah.
Like, should I go faster? Should I go slower?
Mm.
You know, should I go to the right or should I go to the left? And you have to like basically look at all these little decisions and have a quick feedback about it. Did it just get better or worse? And when you're holding
Mhm.
two steaming piles of shit,
mm-hmm.
that like then you steam, you
Mhm.
spin and spin and spin. It's like which
Less
right?
bad.
And so and what was awful is that I would work like 6 hours on something and then go to my boss and be like, I don't know, and then he would like in 15 minutes make a better version because he was a really good designer.
Yeah,
Meaning that like he knew exactly what his parameters were and how to make this better. And I was just like using instinct, you know?
Mhm.
And when your instinct can't solve this because it's not solvable to a degree that you're ever going to love,
yeah,
like you can use so much creative energy and get nowhere. And so I would work, 8 or 10 hours and be utterly wasted, tired. And then we'd go to band practice and we'd stay up all night playing and I'd be fine. Because there it was like, because it was feeding me, and each of those decisions as you made it gives you this big feedback of like, oh, the song is better,
Yeah.
And so at that era, to answer your question, art for life or life for art or whatever it was, that at that point in my life, that was it, and it was fueling everything. And I definitely made decisions that were like careful enough about the future, being like, I want to still be able to do this in 10 years. I want to be able to do this in 20 years. I like knowing that this won't work. I want to have a career
Safety
path,
net.
But I also preference that at every point I could, right? Like if you ever go, I'm not going to take the risks because they're too dangerous, then at some point you stop, you cede creative control to somebody else, right? Like
yeah.
you get really good at the tools without ever actually like getting good at the part which is really hard, which is like learning what you love and what you don't, and learning what risks are willing to take and what you're not. And so now, as like a middle-aged man, I have a family and I have a life, and I have like that isn't just the art, and realize in a way that will be very depressing to everybody who's not a middle-aged man, that like nothing that any of us does lasts much past our life.
Mm.
None of it matters, and you can be like when you pull back to a great enough distance, and the only musicians left from our time are like the Beatles and Elvis. It's like everybody disappears, and you pull back far enough, and they disappear. Like it's all none of it matters. And if all you're doing is making something so that one day you'll have the opportunity to be happy, you will spend your life miserable. Right?
I think that's a great take because I feel the same way. I feel like it's a little morbid, but sometimes when there's a thing and it's like it's this is this, and I'm like, yeah, one day we die.
Yeah, and you can't like. I am now old enough to be looking at the next 40, 50 years and going like, what I don't want to do is spend my life always trying to open up a door so that one day I might have the opportunity to one day maybe be happy, as if making any of these things will ever make you happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you get back to just like can the art satisfy you simply because you love making the art?
I think that the journey, like the destination is the excuse for the journey, and the journey of solving the problems is what is satisfying, not getting there. I think once you get there, then you sit there and you don't know what you're doing anymore.
It's like you finished the video game.
Right.
You're like, oh, well, now what?
Like
I've
the
beaten every boss.
purpose.
I've done everything.
I mean, and maybe it's different for people, but I feel like the same way where purpose provides satisfaction, not I have done the job. Like I need to feel like what I'm doing means something, whether it's, taking care of a child or working to pay bills, to go on a vacation, like all these little things having a result, I think is what makes me the happiest, not it's like the grind set mindset.
Yeah.
But you sound like an enormous hustler when you were younger, like working basically 2 shifts, like a day shift and a night shift. Day shifts.
I
and
guess
night
so.
shifts.
I mean, I feel like, do you know many like artists in their 20s who aren't kind of just like working full time? Like,
I think that everybody successful has like something a little bit wrong with them, like good and bad. And like working a full job and then sort of grinding into the night doing music, I don't think is a particularly normal thing that people do. I think a lot of people don't have that in them to just go. And I'm not sure if that's a blessing or a curse.
I guess I'm superior. I'm probably just.
I mean, yeah. Well, I think it probably causes other problems in life, or
You
that
think?
go. Yeah. Like I feel it's like I call it like stress control, where I'm like, well, I'm not doing enough things, and that feels bad. I need to do more things. Like if I'm not doing a thing, then I got to do a thing. It's like there's like some sort of squirrel, like a thing, like a squirrel thing in my brain. Like maybe I have a brain the size of a squirrel or something. Just like go.
And you have kids?
One child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things change a lot when you have kids, don't they?
Yeah, I would say for the worse, right? But that worse
I'm
is
gonna
worth
tell your
it.
kid you said that. Yeah.
I say I'm trying to, I don't know how to say this. Like I mean this in the least offensively way possible, but like it makes my life worse, and it's worth it.
Yeah, there's I remember reading there's like a happiness researcher that was I remember reading a book by 10 or 15 years ago. I think I may have actually literally been in Peru when I was reading this.
Okay.
And there are all these studies where like people that by every measure of like happiness goes down to basically its lowest point in your life during the 18 years when you have kids living at home. And yet people self-report that those are the best years of their life and the most satisfying and the most fulfilling. And I will say that like as you guys both know, my kids are sick right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like my daughter was like up puking all night. And I had like these transcendent moments of being like, I can't believe I get to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no one's sleeping, no one's comfortable. And yet it is actually like, this is the reason for being.
Yes.
And it is. And in that thing, it's sort of like, what are you making any of this for? Like, I do love that our treadmill video will keep being watched for many years past my life. That my music is being listened to people right now that I've never met, and like it's changing their day-to-day existence. Like their mood is changing because of something I made. That's wonderful and beautiful. But all I get to know of that is something sort of fairly abstract,
Like a number, yeah.
right? And you don't like. By the time, even when it's an award or like a moment of gratitude from the world, that always comes when you're busy on the next thing.
How do you feel about awards? Have you gotten awards?
I have gotten awards.
Do you ever feel kind of just like, okay?
Yeah, they're not. Awards are always for something that is now in the past, and generally, like my disease, as you can tell, has for most of my life been to be like so future centric.
Go.
That like that the awards feel like, well, yeah. Like thanks, but
right. That's not important anymore.
Well, and what's worse in some ways is that all it does is set a bar for you to be like, well, now if the next video I make doesn't get a Grammy, then it must not be very good.
But
welcome to the YouTuber life too. I mean, I made
a
the same
chart.
thing.
I made a chart this morning. This chart is the number of views your guys' music videos have gotten versus the complexity that I ranked them. And I did a 2 video, like a rolling average.
Thanks, I hate you.
And I don't mean this to gas you down.
No, that's okay.
This is a phenomenon that I've noticed amongst ourselves as well, where the effort that goes into the music videos definitely goes up over time. And the views have like a downward trajectory as well.
Well, and the music gets worse and worse too.
I don't think so. I mean, it's a thing that like I think about like quite frequently about the saturation or like whatever is happening on the internet, where people are just like less excited or less interested in a thing, and there's this pressure to one up and go bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
and
you
more
feel like
complicated.
people have seen it all already. But
yes,
how do you feel?
I feel like I'll say some pretty depressing things.
That's great.
Are we cool with that?
Yeah.
First of all, I think that is the hallmark of being creative and making art, as opposed to running a good business. And like OK Go had was instrumental in the shift from mainstream media to YouTube. Right?
Yeah, I also want to be clear that the lowest number of views on this is 8 million. So, which is huge.
But thank you. But we like there was a moment when we were literally sitting at the Grammys, and I remember people like there was a dude who runs one of the big labels sitting behind me being like, how did you do it, man? Like because they wanted because like the powers that be were like, look at what can happen. Like you can take $6 and YouTube and win a Grammy, and we're and our model is all wrong. And for a brief moment in 2006 or 7 or whatever that was, it was like very clear that the democratization of filmmaking and of like culture making was going to upend everything. And it did. But it didn't. But what we wanted to do was make a certain type of art that like we just loved the idea that we could make these things.
So you like doing stuff and you did something, and then someone came in and asked you what your secret was.
Exactly.
And did that make you feel angry or just sad for them?
Like it was so in the context of it is a captain of industry saying, how come my industry has been upended?
Yeah.
Is so much different than like this guy has never wanted to write a song in his life, you know. But I had neither. It's talking to it's like he was speaking in Klingon, you know what I mean?
Meaningless conversation.
Yeah, but a fascinating one because you know what the Klingon is asking.
Yeah.
You know, like you know why why this is a very important moment.
Also like vaguely threatening too. You know, like he wants some of that. He wants
and it's sort of like how do I like I need a like in my org chart, I need a person whose job it is to own your whole sector.
Oh my
God. You know what I mean? And what happened thereafter was that like it quickly became apparent, like we were really good at making these very, very sticky moments, these videos that everybody wanted to share with everybody else. And that during that moment was basically the most successful use of YouTube. But people quickly realized that like you can actually build a much bigger audience on YouTube if your plan is to just build, like you should make something every day or every week, right? And the production values can be really low as long as it's really, really repetitive and like people know exactly what they're going to get, right? Which is precisely opposite of an OK Go video. Like I guess what the thrill is going to be, but it's going to happen once every year or two, and the whole point is like it's something you haven't seen before and don't know what's coming. You know,
I think that. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you're brilliant or if it's an accident or some combination of both. Because I think you sort of pioneered a segment of the internet and internet culture.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
And I say that because talking to some people that I know at YouTube, you were like an example of what they wanted YouTube to be. Because your early videos, I don't know if you've deleted the first videos you posted to the channel, but the very first video on your channel right now turned 20 years old today.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
I don't remember, but it's you guys. I think you were like in Sweden or something.
Okay,
you were like recording
the record from which that album would come. Okay,
and a lot of your videos, like a bulk of the videos, are closer to what a like YouTube channel is. And then sprinkled in between those are videos with 70 million views. And so it's very like interesting to me to see that engagement with an audience at a more kind of classic social media level so early on, because nobody was really doing that.
And we are now punished for it.
How so?
Because what now that we've moved past, like when people were sharing videos with people, there was, you'd see the treadmill video and it would make you feel a certain way, and you'd want to be the person who made your mom or your girlfriend or your student feel that way. But the algorithm doesn't have that ego about it. It just wants to know who will watch what, right?
Yes.
And so now there's the fact that an OK Go video could be, a hyper viral music video, or it could be us like just, like trying to pick out which raincoat to wear, is a big negative for it. because it's not.
You think the algorithm says, oh, because these videos aren't viewed as much, then
because they're
it like averages down the channel when you have like the Q&A video that only gets 1 million views versus a 70 million view video. You think it just kind of averages down?
Well, yeah, well, and inconsistence. It would much rather have something that where it goes like 4,000 people watch this and I know every single one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Then be like either 0 people will watch this or 150 million will. And of course it will.
I half agree with you. I think there's a couple of things going on. I think that the algorithm is, for all intents and purposes, basically perfect. I don't mean that literally, but I think that the algorithm's job is to find something that it knows people want to watch.
Yeah.
And so if there is a video that people will watch, it will deliver it to them. I think that the other half of that is there's a consistent audience as well. So there's like the new audience, and then there's the consistent audience.
Right.
And you can play both games at the same time. I don't think you get punished for the new audience.
I'm sort of conflating my algorithm games too. Is that's a little different for music than it is for YouTube.
Is
directly?
it? Okay.
Yeah, the way that recommendations for you on music are much different than recommendations. Like you said, they're probably fairly perfect in terms of like attention engineering.
Yeah.
But being hyper consistent so that people know exactly what and why you will listen to something or watch something operates a little bit differently in the two spaces.
You think they don't like from YouTube music side of things, like for streaming or just for like actually watching videos?
That streaming services, whether it's YouTube Music or Spotify or whatever, like are more.
I mean, if I can just add, like one thing that I noticed, because I don't really listen to YouTube music, but I just listen to a lot of music through YouTube, just like music videos.
Yeah,
it recommends me the same videos all the time, no matter how many times. Like I find normal YouTube videos, you listen, you see it, it pops up, it just disappears. But for music videos, it just keeps recommending the same things over, because for music, it knows that there's a lot of repeated value.
Have you cooked your entire like YouTube viewing experience by listening to music by clicking on videos?
I kind of click on the one song I like, and then I just let it play through all the playlists.
I do the same thing.
You can't say that because you know exactly what the next question is going to be. What song is that?
What's the song?
What's the song?
No.
Yes. Yeah, I knew you were gonna back out.
So
no,
I'm not gonna back out.
El Condor Pasa, isn't it?
No.
You want to build a snowman?
This one in particular. Yeah, I should just say it's just some old timey song. This one right now is a Gracie Abrams song called "Free Now," but usually I only listen to music on YouTube when I edit. So I don't interact. So kind of like when I start to edit, I click on the recommendation that's there.
And it builds you out a whole playlist too. So it's like you click on that video and it's actually a playlist
of music,
of related music.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go. So this is the difference between the video and the music is related. Is like music needs to be categorized by its style.
Yeah.
Right. And by its adjacency to other things. And listeners are categorized by how adventurous they are or how much they want things to not be by the person they were just listening to. Like, these are all like vectors through the data space that I don't know anything about, but I do know that like basically having a big event every couple of years is sort of the opposite of what Spotify wants you to have. Like Spotify wants you to be like to have a really consistent like release cadence so that like you're always bringing people into their machine. And I couldn't tell you on YouTube whether or not we like how much we we benefit or are punished for that. But I do know that like not having a consistent channel that like has something out every Friday is a problem, right?
So we post a video every single week on the second channel and like basically once a year on my main channel. And the sort of like the difference between the two, or the second channel stuff, is kind of just things that are going on, not a ton of effort sunk into it. The main channel is like, here is an idea,
Mm.
and I'm gonna spend, you know, like a couple of weeks like really fleshing it out to see what happens. I mean, or you're Nigel, you spent 3 years making magnets. 3 years?
It's over 3 years.
Over 3
now.
years making
But
magnets.
it's gonna be done soon, man. It's gonna be.
Oh,
done
I thought you
soon.
said MAGA. You said magnets.
Magnets.
I was like, you made MAGA
He
in
made
only
MAGA.
3 years?
That's
in his
Q.
lab,
He's
yeah.
Q.
It's
Can
only
we-
actually 3 chemicals.
Is it possible to undo that?
No, it's drain cleaner, baking soda, and so like for me, this I've noticed that like the main channel gets a new audience. So if you post a video there,
Yeah.
it's reaching people who see the title. Like that's a title thumbnail game.
Yeah.
That's the worst game to play. The title thumbnail game is a horrible place to live.
I believe you. Although
The weekly videos, people become accustomed to it, and you pretty much can do anything, and the title thumbnail game it'll push you above whatever that minimum is. And so you have this like guaranteed audience, and it makes it a lot easier. And I think that has to do, you know, the algorithm knows that these people will always watch this, and it's so consistent that there's no questions of like, it's not, oh, it's been a year.
Mhm.
Let's see if they want to watch this again. It's like, oh, every week they come back. So it's like a very safe bet.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you inevitably do both, where you have the consistent audience and then you play the title thumbnail game, and it'll bring in like 40% new viewers or sometimes more.
I believe all that.
So I think there's like a couple of different things. So I can see, you know, potentially, I mean, I don't really know much about like the music recommendation, but I definitely could see somehow if their music system works differently, that posting stuff in between. But then why not like 2 different channels?
We probably could. It just starts to be like, what is your? Are you doing this to keep an attention engine running, or are you doing this to make the thing? And so,
Yeah.
like, what? And I don't know that many people actually have much clarity between those two things, including ourselves. Like, there's like,
Yeah.
but I really do like. I only love making the thing.
Yeah.
And I, of course, I get feedback from the world just like everyone else does. Like, it's hard not to be like, well, why, you know, like, who's attending to what and why? But I don't actually like the idea of making stuff so that people will keep watching the stuff that I make feels bad to me. Whereas
Yeah.
I want to keep making the thing.
What do you want
Definitely.
to do? What's the thing? The music videos, music in general? Like what's your sort of, you know, if you didn't have to play any of the game, like social media games, what would you do?
To me, it's sort of an amorphous mix between the music and the art project.
Mhm.
And the art project like has fallen into like this bit. We've have this like catch-all category of music videos, which is exciting. But mostly those are sort of like, and I think of them sort of like you're saying your main channel is sort of like every once in a while there's a like, God, could we do this? Could we like, could we reach into the realm of impossible for a few minutes and grab this thing and then bring it into existence such that it always is? And that's not so much like, I guess I think of that visually, but it's not like, God, I have to make music videos. It's like, I want to do that art project. Now, having said that, music feels like that to me as a like when I sit down to play guitar or play piano or whatever, like most of the time you're doing like this sound and then that sound, and that's just another two sounds next to each other. And then every once in a while you do some sounds and there's like a feeling jumps out of it. And that is so magical to me. That like that weird chemistry of like, how do these two things suddenly make me feel like sad and joyous and lusty and questioning all the same, like whatever that weird thing is. And that like being able to, that feels like grabbing something out of the impossible, you know, like that feels like getting your hands on this little piece of magic. And so I think if like I probably would just sit around and write songs all day, although I know that I would get antsy and then be like, I want to
do something else,
you know?
Yeah.
Do you ever hear a melody like, you know, in your dream or something like that, or some lyrics, and then you just wake up and you can't remember, or you can't quite, you know, you're playing an instrument and you just like can't get it back. It's just, it's gone.
Yeah.
And
Or like record it into your phone. Like it's amazing. And then you like go back and listen to it and like, doesn't do the thing at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It may like I was feeling it when I did it, so I know it can be in there somewhere. And then there's also this thing where it's like sometimes the first sketch of a song you make is so clear what this is going to be, and then
Yeah.
like a month or two later you're working on it and you've completely lost that picture, and now you're not sure what it's supposed to be at all, and it doesn't feel like anything. And
Yeah.
but it was so clear that you're like, but why would you trust yourself of a month ago any more than you trust yourself right now?
We
You
get
know?
the same thing when we're editing YouTube videos. It's like you're spent, you know, also I'm a lot like you in the fact that you just want to do the thing. And then once you have to sit down and worry about how it's going to be interpreted by people and you have to share it, like, oh, that kind of like just sucks the joy out of it. You know, you would rather just kind of do the
Just the
project
job
for
part,
yourself.
yeah.
But you know, we get so deep into editing a YouTube video that we kind of lose track of where we are in the video, or like if it even makes sense anymore. So sometimes I'll share my video to Will, or even send it to my mom and say, hey, does this make sense to you? And they'll say, oh no, like right here, like this part doesn't make sense.
Or
And
you've
I'm like,
overcooked it.
I've
or-
overcooked it. Like you know, I get it. You don't have to explain every step of it. I know what you're doing.
He was like, I just want to do the experiment. So why is the rest of this such a pain in the butt?
Yeah. And then you have to worry about what people are going to say. And I noticed that in your videos, you have a lot of disclaimers like, oh, all the bread was stale, or we recycled all the paper.
Yeah.
So you're trying to like get ahead of that.
Yeah.
I love that because I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is like a fucking awesome art project, and is, even if the paper is not recycled, is absolutely worth wasting the, like, you know how much paper gets burnt every day coming to every mailbox in this country with a bunch of grocery store ads on it? Like,
Yeah.
why can't we use a truckload of paper to make a fucking awesome thing?
I think there's also like the part that annoys me is the same criticism doesn't happen for like quote unquote big productions. So like you don't go and watch a movie and you leave furious because Transformers in the movie, they smashed so many cars and they just wasted, stuff. I've never heard anyone really, I mean, probably people do complain about that, but no, they complain about like that one guy in a YouTube video who like threw out something that seemed kind of usable.
Smashed a watermelon.
Have there
exactly.
been issues at all of people getting butthurt about the paper and stuff like that? Like big,
Sure.
small, little bit.
There's always haters, and
Oh, yeah.
and like
Professional.
and it's so the double standards are so everywhere that like you can't get that worked up about it. I guess it does start to become a question of just like how much of this do you want to invite into your life, or how much of this do you want to like spend time fighting against? Like we for our last album, which we released last April, I guess like almost a year ago, we made lyric videos for almost every song, which is new for us. Like, and we tried to like give some real effort to them, and we collaborated with like artists. They weren't our big standard OK Go like videos where we're doing this big art project. It was like someone else's art project that we're sort of like, look, we want you to run with this. Just like we want to feel the song, and ideally we'd like to be able to read some of the songs so you can understand what's going on. And one of the videos was made by this incredible illustrator who, in the editing process, he himself is an illustrator, makes like still things, but he worked with an editor to help get from one. He's like, we go from this animation to this, like this shape to this shape, and the tweening was done via a plugin that uses AI. He didn't even know this because it's like not his work.
So he's basically using like interpolation to like help animate.
Exactly. Or his editor was.
Yeah.
And so it's like several steps removed, and the fury on this like the
God.
Instagram post or whatever of this thing that the world is over because AI was used in this is just like, it's not about how it wasn't about how right or wrong those people are. It's just that like that whole thing is now not like that video got watched twice as much as the rest of them, simply because the commenting was so like, you just see the attention machine at work, right? That now Meta knows that this is a sticky video because people are fighting about something that has nothing to do with any of the content that we care about, whether it's the music or the video. And like, that's a successful video. And that's, and that is why our politics are what they are. That is why, like, America is not nearly as divided as we think it is. It's just that like that anger is even stickier than sex. We've just realized in the last.
It's
10
all
years,
entertainment. Like everything's entertainment. It's like I feel like a lot of people don't actually care about sort of the justice of anything. It's just the entertainment of getting mad.
It is deeply depressing to me that is sort of like our role now is these sort of like is this passive active consumer, right? Like we're passively taking on this stuff and feeling like we're engaging in social justice by being angry or by I guess on the other side of the aisle it's like upending the wrongs of wokeness or whatever the people like. It is all theater, and it's all theater that plays out on your phone while somebody else is like just raking in the bucks because you're staring at your phone. And so like this is the part that makes me like, I know that's where there is no making culture that is somehow decoupled from these platforms. Like this is where culture happens, but there's also no making culture. Like you can't sit there and be like, but how many viewers am I getting this month? And really feel like that's about your art, it's just it. And so when you ask like, what would I be doing? Like I long for a time when it wasn't so perfectly mediated, like when we weren't just like an attention machine, but that's not realistic. And I am thankful for the fact that like that we existed for long enough before this, that we have there's a wave of what we are, right? That like has pushed through, and people like know that we're going to do things the hard way, and it's going to happen we have our thing, right? Like we have these crazy videos we make, and I love making them. And if we get to keep on, like if there's a reason to keep on making them, like let's sort of like hang on for dear life. And
so your plan is to just keep doing those. Yeah,
well, and there's sort of asterisk is that like throughout all of this, it has been mostly like the thrill of the thing around the corner, where it's sort of like, well, who knew that this was a possibility? Like you can make a video in zero gravity. Like if you get like it was 10 years of pitching that to companies, being like,
really?
Oh yeah, because like Pepsi would come and be like, we want to do an OK Go video but hold Pepsi, and we're like, look, Pepsi only looks good in zero gravity, obviously.
Right. Yes.
Like liquids.
So you're trying every angle to get on that
we've
plane.
Got $15.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We could give you $20.
I'm negotiating.
But like for years we were sort of like, that's a possibility, but probably not going to happen. And then an airline actually was like, what would you do if we let you borrow an airplane? We're like, we would do this.
Oh wait, so it wasn't with one of those companies.
It was
like Zero G.
It was not. It was not in their commercial aircraft either. It was with a science airplane built for that purpose, but tricked out to look like one of
like a research plane.
Yeah.
I've done that before. I think it was called Zero G was the name of the plane. And
NASA used to own that plane, and then they sold it to like private, like back when they made Apollo 13, was it like that was still I think a NASA vehicle.
Wow.
And then they spun it off into a private company, and you can go do it for fun.
Yeah, it's like $4,000 a ticket, and it's like totally worth it. I mean, I did it for a TV show, but wow, it's amazing.
So you used to be with a record label. You did like an opinion piece. This is all a long time ago.
Oh yeah,
Capitol Records.
And then so I think that I was like, a record label, they just like do things for you, right? How much of the stuff did you guys actually do yourself? Like the music videos, is it all self-funded and self-organized? Like,
yeah, basically. The Capitol, we split from Capitol largely because of the videos, because like we had the treadmill video we had made without their permission or knowledge. Like I think, in fact, even our manager did.
I did notice something too, that the post date of that video on YouTube now does not feel like it's the original video.
It's not. Capitol took it down during a fight over embedding, which is like
they deleted your music video.
Disabled the
yes, we actually still have the invisible posting of it or something. So like they like just erased 60 million views from.
It had 60 million views.
Yeah, and maybe it was 70. It was
and the current one has 70 as well.
Yeah, so it's like the real view should be
like 150.
150. Yeah,
and they're just like.
I mean that like they're not operating on the scale of single videos. It's a platform wide decision for them, and so they were like in the I guess late aughts there was a big fight about whether or not they were getting paid enough on YouTube streams, and they would get paid less
or embedded
if it was embedded.
So as a strike, they like removed the video from YouTube.
Yeah,
like really.
Yeah, or required us to do so. I can't remember how. Like, because I think we had put it up without their knowledge or permission, and then they might have. It might have been about moving over to Vivo at some point. I can't remember, but.
So how much of the sort of like YouTube channel are you like? Do you own that?
Yeah,
that's yours.
Yeah.
And like the ad revenue, does that go through like an agency or that goes directly?
Just, I mean, we run our own label now.
Okay.
And I mean that label literally just puts out us every once in a while. We put out a record for a friend's band or something like that. But it is basically just our own way of putting things in the world. And the reason we split from Capitol is because after the treadmill video had been wildly successful, like I mean, first of all, they like tried to stop us from putting things like that out, and then once it was getting awards and changing the industry, they were like,
"Oh, you didn't explain it properly to us. You should have told us better."
Well, no, they just went like I wasn't allowed to do. I remember I had an interview with USA Today that I could only do if the head of the department was in the room with me. Because they wanted to be able to be like, see, this is our most successful, like we are.
Yeah,
the internet
they
label.
probably want you to like hire the production company from the label or something like that too, a union thing.
But look, in fairness, like nobody was mean spirited. Nobody was doing things for the wrong reasons. They're just like
they let you pave the way, and they tried to slow you down.
They're too slow to adapt.
Well,
too much bureaucracy.
Like you got one guy, you got the guy at the head of the label who wants us to be the Strokes, and when we're like doing a ridiculous like choreographed dance in my backyard, like the actual quote is something along the lines of like everyone's gonna think you're gay, and we're like, is that a problem?
Right.
And they're like, but it's not the Strokes, man. Like so that's the boss, and the guy who's running the internet department has to listen to that guy and the band who's going like, people like it. What's your problem?
Right.
And so I don't want to relitigate that. Like that, whatever. They just people were trying to figure out what this was all going to be, and we didn't have to figure out what the internet was going to be. We just had to figure out what our band was going to be, and we knew, right? Like so for our next album, we were like, we have just like accidented ourselves into this position of being the video band. Like I should back up. The moment that the treadmill video explodes, we realize within like 10 minutes that we are now a one-hit wonder whose one hit isn't even the song itself. It's like, we're those treadmill guys, right? And that will like be written on our tombstone, like treadmill
tombstone shaped like a treadmill.
Exactly. And that you can do one of two things. You can go the Radiohead route and be like, I hate that song and I hate it. Like I'm too cool for all that, which bless them. They are like, they're the greatest rock band of all time, whatever.
Did they say that?
They hate Creep.
Oh, okay.
They hate Creep. They famously did hate Creep. I don't know if they might have outgrown that, but like their whole rise to fame was all about how much they hated their big hit. And I think that's a totally different thing in the late 90s than it is 10 years later. But in any event, we could have been like, we're way cooler than a bunch of dorks on treadmills. Or you go like, what worked about this? And what, like, because we didn't hate it, like we know, like we're taking the piss out of ourselves, obviously to a certain degree. And there's like, you can't look at that and think of yourselves as Radiohead at the same time. But there was something up there that was not just the dance band, right? And so what was it? Was it like, and our feeling was like, we sort of set ourselves out on a course of figuring out what it was about this art project. Why had we done it in the first place? And what else was in that world that felt like ours? And so for our next album, it was sort of like, we're going to like, we know that we are now that treadmill band. Maybe we could be that video band. And in fact, what we feel like in our heart of hearts is that creative band. We just want to chase these creative projects. But if like the stepping stones to get there are go from that treadmill band to that video band to that creative band, well, for our next album, we want to make tons of videos, and the label, bless them, we're like, okay, we'll give you a much bigger video budget than we ever would have in any other band.
Right.
In your
What does that look like number wise?
I think back then it was probably a couple $100,000 maybe.
Okay, which is like it's something, but when you're talking a production, it's not.
Sure, but in 2006, for or maybe it was in 2005, like whatever it was for it was the next one, so it was maybe 2010. But for a band who sells, who like our biggest record's a gold record. We're not Radiohead size, like it was a fair, if somewhat
generous deal from them.
Look, we were happy with it.
Okay.
But they didn't follow through. Like we then started making videos, and they nickel and dime us on like, well, like, but this one shouldn't cost that much. Like what we were. So at some point our manager walked in, was just like, look, if you don't want us to, like, if you don't want us to make these videos, if you're not going to pay for them, can we just leave? And like, totally not expecting them to say yes. And they're like, yeah, sure, fine. And they gave us back our record, and we walked out of there.
They just didn't give a shit.
They didn't give a shit. And it was the biggest, I mean, and that is a huge gift from them. Like most labels would have been way more punitive and sort of like, no, fuck you,
Yeah.
And they, we had to buy back the rights in some nominal way. It was like, it wasn't like free money, but it wasn't punitive. And we started, and so we made, and in fact, I remember that at this point, this was the biggest single leap we took, was that State Farm paid for our next video. It was the Rube Goldberg machine, which at the time it wasn't it was a huge amount of money for us. It was, I think it was $75,000 or $100,000
For that whole video?
Yeah, nothing for what that video cost.
Yeah,
but for it, like an indie band with a soon to be indie band with like making this on their own, to get a brand sponsor like that. We probably had to pay a little bit on top of that. I can't remember, but like to get any brand sponsor in the door.
That was without the label.
Came through the label.
Oh, okay.
They came to the label, like they wanted to be in music.
Yeah.
And they wanted to be online. And the label, of course, were like, we have an online band.
Yeah.
And so like get on a call with them. And I remember talking to their marketing people, being like, we want to make a Rube Goldberg machine. I'll describe what that is. Like, let's say there's a ball that rolls and it hits down a bunch of dominoes, and the dominoes might knock something off the end of a and so I describe a Rube Goldberg machine.
Just like, what the fuck are you
Wow.
talking about?
And
how do we integrate State Farm into this?
at the end of that call, the only question was, can the ball be red?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
And I was like, that the ball isn't, you don't follow the ball the whole video. And they're like, oh. But could it be red? And the deal was like, we had to have a certain amount of red, and we had to have the logo appear on screen for a certain number of seconds. And so, knowing that a Rube Goldberg machine is going to fail all of its times, we would put both in the beginning. We're like, Tim is covered in red paint as soon as you open the video, and the first thing you see is the logo on a little truck that he pushes. And they came to set, and we're filming, and I'm like, and I know that what Tim looks like covered in red paint is someone you insure against, right? we got an actual axe murderer sitting there, like, and they came and they're like, good, and they left, and the scary thing for us was that this was before selling out was cool, right?
Yeah.
Like it was very scary to be like, we're now launching into a world where like we're getting in bed with brands in a way that's like had been very, very uncool to us growing up, and certainly was against our ethos in all sorts of artistic ways and like dangerous, but also opened doors for us to be in charge of what we make. And that video had been filmed, was in the can, and was ready to release. Let's say I don't remember what the date is, but we'll say it's January 1st. It's going to be released, and the fight over whether or not we should be on the label is happening mid-December, and they finally agree to let us off the label come January 15th. And we're like, that video is going to come out 2 weeks before we're supposed to get out of this contract and explode. And they're going to be like, no, we never mind. And it came out and exploded, and they just didn't know.
They had no idea.
Well, they didn't, or they were cool about it and didn't care, but whatever it was, like, it's a video breaking YouTube at that point wasn't it still wasn't their
Didn't get
model.
it.
Their model was like that was, well, are we getting paid on the streams?
Oh my God.
You know, like is it embedded? Like, are we getting maximum, royalties per?
A lot of it's really funny because like your videos depended on being like viral. I mean, that was like how you guys got started. And then for the record label to come in and like totally remove the sharing feature from those videos is like shooting themselves in the foot completely.
Yeah,
And
there was. I mean, if we want to get into that, like that at the release of our second album, the one on which the treadmill song "Here It Goes Again" appears, we were determined to be a perfect example of college rock. And colleges is where iPods, which you guys may have heard of these things, or before you guys were born.
Oh no, I
thought they were
had one in high
e-poofs.
school.
College students like iPods, and what iPods do is they have illegal music on them, and that is
They do.
yes. And so our second album was to be released with digital rights management (DRM) software that made it so that, thank God, you couldn't put this music on an iPod.
Right. God forbid.
And we were like, wait a second, you're saying that people who pay for the record, the people who actually go out and buy it the legal way, are then prevented from having it on their music listening device? And they're like, exactly.
So then they have to pirate it. Like they have to pay for it and pirate it.
Yeah. Or like they're punished for having paid for it. So, and look, I do believe that music, like I think that streaming music and the fact that our recordings have been reduced to a value of 0 is a problem, was a foreseen problem, and they were right to be fighting against it.
Yeah.
But going to a bunch of college kids and saying, you like, thank you for paying for this, now you can't have it.
Might have accelerated it.
Yeah, maybe just a little, you think? And so we recorded, we turned in that album with a very special hidden track on it, which was the love letter that my girlfriend at the time had sent me while I was making that album in Sweden, which happened to be exactly 31 minutes and whatever seconds long. It was exactly the length of the available bytes on the CD.
Oh, awesome.
We just like,
maxed it out.
The real thing was a recording of her sleeping, because I was like, I'm just gonna make a process art piece. Like it'll be like a Steve Riley piece at the end of the album that just goes for exactly the number of minutes we have. And I sat in my studio the day before the album was due, trying to come up with like a 31-minute piece that was just like one long tone. And I hated everything I came up with. And I was like, in the end, I was like, I guess I'll just go record her sleeping. And so there's just a recording of her sleeping that takes up every available. And they didn't know. They were like, they would put it through QC. The album was turned in and they would press it onto a CD and then it would go through quality control. And the digital rights management software just kept on like not working. Like for some reason it would just get rejected over and over again. And
Hacker
for years,
man.
like, and then for years, our fans would be like, "What? Like, I put this on random, or like." And the streaming version of it for years had like a 31-minute silent track on the end of it, which felt terrible about. But now that we're off the label and enough years away, we're allowed to tell that story. And there's that's obviously not part of like the music of that album, but yeah, they were aggressively anti their own consumers for a while.
I mean, I went through a similar management thing before where, they were taking, I think like 30% of my money and they weren't doing anything in return. And they really fought me when I tried to leave.
Yeah.
But I've also tried to like license music before. And it's just the whole licensing system in music is wild. Like for somebody who's not a part of it, it's like, oh, you think this guy made the song? He like, if I said, hey, can I use your music in my video? You would say, you don't talk. I have like, yeah, you can, but it's not up to me. So you have to talk to all these different people. Yeah.
It is very elaborate and confusing.
It can be.
I've heard that the way YouTube monetization works, like at a high level, is there's apparently $6 of every subscription. So like if you buy YouTube Premium, $6 immediately goes to the label, like the three big.
I believe that.
And to keep them happy and on the platform.
Yeah, it's basically a minimum guarantee, and that's for the negotiation rights. Because obviously, if you have a streaming service like YouTube Music, you don't want to be missing a third of all music.
Do you know whether or not that is given to them just as like equity? Like,
I think it's cash.
But is that? But it's not it's not into a fund that is then distributed to their art.
It might be. I don't see why they would.
So I think that's where things start to get, because one of my questions that I wrote down is about transparency in like with your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Who was claiming ad revenue? Was that going through them before?
Oh, I mean, like
Or
when
it's
we
always
first started,
gone
there
through?
was no ad revenue.
Right, but at some point, was there ever overlap between you being with the label and ad revenue? Not really.
I don't remember. If there was, I don't remember how we dealt with it. To be honest.
Okay.
Like, I mean, you know, our ad revenue is like, is you know, it's real dollars, but
Yeah.
it's not enough to pay like any one
Mhm.
band member's
Yeah.
rent. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like we don't. This is also the problem with having a channel that has like one huge hit every 6 months or a year. Is like you need something all the time
To
you
get
know?
the ad, yeah.
So it's like not our way of getting paid very much. But there is, I do know that like the at least the story that's told around the music industry, and people can debate this in the comments, is that like Spotify, when Spotify wanted to get rights to all these catalogs, went to the labels and said, you can have equity in Spotify. And what that means is that when Spotify, grows 100x, then that investment by the labels grows 100x. And that is not pinned to any one artist. So whoever owns that label gets 100x on their investment when that investment was free rights to all our artists.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So which is why when a song gets streamed, it is zero money moves through royalties essentially, because the platform is what's valuable, not the music.
Yes.
Right?
And I think that is how the YouTube deal works, according to what I know.
I assume it is.
It's not an equity thing, but it's a minimum guarantee, and then the artists get paid. So the label gets paid minimum guarantee,
right, and that
and
does not
get transferred to the artist. And so if somebody doesn't listen, then the artist doesn't get paid, but the minimum guarantee still comes in.
And if they do listen, the minimum guarantee doesn't go to, like, if you listen over and over and over again to Billie Eilish is not getting that $6. Like, she's getting whatever else.
Yeah.
I mean, unless, I suppose she probably comes to mind, because I'm sure there are artists big enough that they can actually go into those labels and be like, we want our percentage of your XYZ. But that's not us.
I have a suspicion, because I also know that like the ad revenue cuts for creators versus music it's significantly better for music, whatever that ends up actually meaning.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, that probably
account.
is true. I'm sure that is because of these middle rights holders, right? It's like, because there's not, you're not part of, you as a creator are not part of a enormous rights database that is owned by someone. Like, like if you want to put a Beatles song in your commercial, the cheapest part of that will be a recording that anybody can make of a Beatles song. The expensive part of that is the idea that is the Beatles song, right?
Yeah.
Like you, and that's a rights that is a rights structure which doesn't exist in creatordom.
No, because YouTube kind of depends on being able to share from each other and like share clips of videos. But if you do that in music, sample another song, it's like, you're stealing my work, and people get upset over that. I mean, I guess that happens on YouTube too, with streamers who just sit there in the corner of the stream watching somebody else's YouTube
the bar
videos.
is way lower. With like music will just sort of get you obliterated
Oh
instantly.
yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
But I mean, I was just gonna say what Kevin said, because in music, if you steal someone's idea, people are up in arms. But if I like something you did, Kevin, I could just literally, and it's happened before, borderline word for word recreate your entire video, shot for shot, and there's kind of like not really anything you can do about it,
for better or worse.
So is there any transparency like in that pipeline, like or like how many artists do you think have the ability to be like, hey, can you like explain where these royalties come from like YouTube streaming, and like they would actually know what the breakdown is?
I'm sure there are artists who care enough to track it
Yeah.
really closely. I'm not one.
No,
I mean, every once in a while I like go through statements to make sure that like it all seems to make sense.
Mhm.
But I guess the problem is when you have little leverage to change anything, and
Yeah.
everything is an accumulation of little drops here and there.
Mm.
Like it's the same with music royalties. Like we've been writing songs that have been licensed to TV shows and commercials and movies for almost 30 years, and like something plays on cable TV in Italy as a rerun, and like we got 7 cents from it this month. And like,
Yeah.
and
God.
there's a huge catalog of that stuff.
Counting nightmare.
Yeah, but there's also there are businesses set up to basically deal with all that stuff, and that's why these rights are so difficult, is because like until recently, Happy Birthday was still owned by Warner Chappell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like because it was
That's why you had the weird off-brand Happy Birthday that would play at restaurants and stuff like that.
Yep. And like, but if you were the school teacher who had written Happy Birthday, you would be pretty psyched that your song was like huge, and you would also want to be paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least you'd
For
sell
150 years.
Yeah, well, you'd sell it to Warner Chappell, and they would do their best to make sure that the thing that they had purchased was still maintained its value for as long as they could. So, like,
Yeah.
I've made, I've been on the other side. I've been a film director and licensed songs from Queen, right? And when you license a song from Queen, if it's "We Will Rock You," it's going to be very expensive,
Mhm.
right? And if it's a song from that same album that nobody knows but you happen to love because you listened to a lot when you were a teenager, it's very likely that Queen and Queen's representatives will understand, like, this is actually a pretty good, like, this helps build the idea that Queen is an awesome band. Right?
Yeah,
This helps,
exactly.
like, more people learn about more songs from Queen, and it's in no way undercutting the awesomeness of Queen.
Mhm.
So it was not significantly more expensive than it would be to put an OK Go song in the slot, because they were just psyched about it. Like, they're not unreasonable people, but they do own an incredibly valuable piece of right,
Mhm.
like a copyright. And there's a reason why that all is the way it is. It is often like there are loopholes through it. There are problems with it. There are ways it doesn't work the way it should. But you can understand why, like, if you've written Happy Birthday, the royalty statement is going to be very, very, very long and complicated and weird.
Yeah. It's interesting that there's like a generification for like brand names like Taser or Kleenex or whatnot, but something like Happy Birthday can retain, because I bet you 99.99% of people that sing Happy Birthday have no idea that they are basically like halfway to prison.
Well,
when
you're
the words come
not,
out of them.
because there's nothing illegal about you performing it.
It's just the publishing of it. But what if you like film it
Commercial.
and put it on Instagram?
That I don't know.
Jail.
Like, social media is a much grayer area for all this stuff.
Fair
And-
use Happy
and
Birthday.
it's being like litigated all the time, because like people, like, I'm sure if you do a shot by shot recreation of somebody else's film on YouTube, I'm sure there's a legal case there. Whether or not you'd win it or not, and whether or not you would be able to afford the to take it all the way through the court process or not. Like, but here's an example of how so money always wins this battle. The treadmill video came out in 2006 or 7, and it was and a giant drug company from Europe was like, we want to use one of those. We want that video for a commercial for our in fact, I guess I can just say who it is, for Baraka, which was a like an energy drink tablet. You put this in your
Okay.
and
Dissolves, fizzes up kind of thing.
exactly. And they were like, and the idea here is that you like, if you drink one of these, you'll be like these nerds on treadmills, right?
You
Like,
run fast and
exactly.
jump high.
Woohoo! And your life is full of creativity and weirdness. And it was a very hard, this was before we had done the thing with State Farm or anything. It was like, we had to figure out how, like, okay, so what's our sellout point? We're now a one-hit wonder, and it's gonna start and this is gonna be a commercial for a drug.
Yeah, get
and-
that bag.
But it was like, but if this was enough to pay for our whole next album, or if this could pay for 3 more videos or 10 more videos or whatever, maybe. So it's like, so we negotiated for several months to get exactly what the cost of that of that it would be for them to redo not with us, but from to use the song, use the video, blah, 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 as with and refilm it as a commercial.
So you were not in that at all.
I don't think so. I can't remember. I don't or license it in some way, but it was to substantially remake it. And as soon as we agreed to a price, they went silent. And 6 weeks later, it came out.
They did it anyway.
They did it anyway. And it was a different. It was a sound-alike song. I mean, it wasn't the same song. It was a little different in all these different ways. But like the only reason for the negotiation was because that sets an upper limit on how much we can sue them for. Because in England, you can only sue them for what the market value is, and we had established the market value by agreeing with them what it was.
You see,
and so to get whatever that was, which was a fair amount of money to an indie rock band, was still like the legal fees to get it back.
Yeah, I mean,
we're higher than.
I feel like if anyone does legal process, you're talking like, I mean, maybe even has to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to be worth it, because lawyers will just like
exactly, and oversee and the precedent was a commercial, Guinness commercial, which had ripped off a dance piece. Basically, the what it came down to was this: you cannot. They didn't use your song exactly, and the choreography on the treadmills wasn't identical. So you can't copyright the idea of dancing on treadmills, but you can copyright those specific moves.
Okay.
So we could have it, like though it came down to whether or not there were enough exact moves that were precisely our moves for it to be actionable, and the
80% dance.
Exactly, and the lawyers said, you guys have a very good case. You have I think it's like 57% chance of winning. That's the best we've ever given.
That's a very lawyer thing to say.
You know,
how do they calculate those odds?
Maybe it was
Greg.
I remember, but it was like, I remember in my head, rounding it to 60-40, that we had a 60% chance of winning a case and if we lose, we pay their legal fees as well as our own.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And get nothing for it. And so it's like, so we could be down, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, or up a little.
Yeah.
Because of the cost of, and that was exactly the reason for the negotiation in the first place, was just to be like, and scene.
There was a realization at some point in like the past 5 years I've had where I realized a contract actually doesn't mean anything unless you're willing to sue somebody.
Right.
And there's literally nothing that you can do. You can be like, hey, you said you were going to do this and you didn't do it. And they're like, what are you going to do? Sue us? And you're like,
I remember I was thinking about this. I'm dealing with some construction right now, and was thinking about how I remember getting a deck built on the back of my house when I was in my 20s. It was the first thing. It was the first house I'd ever owned, and it was like the first like piece of construction I'd done to it. And I was like, and the guy just didn't finish it. He was like, it had like a prefab spiral staircase, and he just was like, didn't do that part because that was expensive. Did the other stuff, like got the 50% down payment or whatever, and just walked out. And like I remember like calling and screaming, and he was just like, he just would just like listen to me scream or hang up. But like, what are you gonna do?
Right, sue him for the exact same amount of money that it would cost to just hire someone else to finish the rest of it.
Yeah. Oh, it would cost way more to sue him. Yeah.
It goes the other way. I've like a family friend who does AC repairs and stuff, and he says that it's not, I won't say common, but it's happened to him where he does a massive big project and a repair, like thousands of dollars worth, and he goes to tell the person like, hey, I'm done. The guy's like, okay, leave. And he's like, he's just like, I'm not paying you.
Not at all for the job?
And no, he's just like, what are you going to do about it?
He doesn't take a down payment or anything?
I think he took a very small, like,
This is
down
your
payment,
uncle?
but he's like, that barely, sorry?
This is your uncle.
No.
I hope he doesn't know I'm here on the show.
You should tell your uncle. Who is it? A family friend?
Yeah, it's just a family friend.
You should tell him that he's stupid.
But he took the down payment. It like covers the equipment, but it's like he spent like, a long time assembling it, putting it all together and installing it. And they're like, what are you going to do? Take it back?
He makes a YouTube video where he goes and rips out all the HVAC equipment.
Well, he actually asked me at the time, this is how I know about it. He calls me and he's like, how much do you know? He goes, what can we do to destroy thousands of dollars worth of AC equipment? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, at night, I want to destroy a lot of AC equipment. I'm like, you got to elaborate on this.
Crime. You charge a bigger.
But he had no other way to like get it back because he's just like the guys told him, you come back to our property, like you're gonna have a problem. And he's like, I'll call the cops. He's like, okay, call the cops. Let's see what happens. Like they were just pushing it as far as they could to like call his bluff.
This is why I just do everything myself. But even looking at your guys' big projects, like you can't do everything yourself. So like, how do you manage that with the big videos and dealing with people that don't do
I mean, generally we have stumbled for better or worse. I mean, definitely for better, but like through many missteps along the way into a position where like most creative people who like making big art projects,
do
right?
good
Like
jobs.
want to make something that we want to make. Right?
Yes.
Like that let me come at this from a different position. If you work in commercial film, you do that. I mean, like nobody becomes a musician or a filmmaker because they're like, this is a great way to make money, right? Like you do it because you love that thing. You saw a film once that transported you, or you saw many, like you want to be the person who makes that art that changes lives, And you grew up listening to this music and God, you got to make music like that so that other people are moved in the same way. You want to be part of that. And then the actual reality of that is that you're a gaffer or you're or you're an assistant director. Like you're a director, but like most of the time, even as a director, you're working for a commercial agency who is working for a brand and like who's working for a mid-level marketing person at a brand who has to respond to a CMO who has to respond to their board.
Like it's not what you thought it was going to be when you.
As you did more and more and more of it, you learn to think that this is what it's going to be, or you learn to find the art in that. But the truth is that like there's always, your hours are always transactional to at some level, right? And you're going and there's going to be a lot of work that is like the film people always say, like one for the meal, one for the reel, right? Like you're making one to get paid, and then you make one that you love. The reel is like, this is the thing I'm proud of. The meal is your money. And the OK Go video is almost always people's reel, right? It's like it's the thing that they're like, that's the one chance they get to do to make something really, really, really beautiful and really over the top. And where like when push comes to shove and like we've hit the last minute of our paid film shoot and we still haven't got it, we will find a way to pay for overtime to make sure that we can stay here another 6 hours until we have that shot. Because like there's the B+ version of this video does no good for the band at all. And they're like that. Even though that may be the case for a Crest commercial, you're not going to find somebody in the Crest marketing department saying the B+ version of this makes no difference for us. Like keep going, right? They have a budget, and so when it comes to finding people and working with people on our projects, we tend to only attract the people in the first place who are like, I recognize this is going to be really hard. I recognize that I'm not going to get paid for this what I would if it were a big car commercial. But I'm going to make the thing I love, and I'm going to love making it. Like there are really, really, really fun projects to make. They're really, really hard projects to make. There's a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of like big gambles, like running off the edge of the cliff Roadrunner style and being like, we got to get, like, and not knowing if we're going to get there. And that is, I'm sure we've taken many hours off of many lives in terms of people's stress levels, but I'm still close with almost everybody who's ever worked on one of these videos because there's like these bonding experiences of like, we made the thing.
Yeah.
What do you think was the strongest bonding experience video? Like which one pushed people to sort of, like that?
In some ways it always feels like it's the last one because that's the most recent one was the mirrors in the train station in Budapest.
That one's a trip.
It was a big project, really fun.
How many robot arms were there? Or I guess maybe we explain.
There were 30 robot arms total, 29 total robots. And I mean, we counted it as 60 something mirrors, although like there are lots of tiny, like there's a suit of mirrors, it's hundreds of them. But the main, like that one was mostly about prevising everything really carefully because robots it's very hard to be,
can't really change it.
Was there a lot of safety involved too? Because I know, like at a factory, they won't let you within 3, like
those red
reach
ones,
of
the big ones,
the Kukas, those big orange Kukas. Those were there's been 4 giant kukas that like when there's one moment where where there's 2 mirrors going like this behind me, and I have to walk through the same one. And if my heel was to trail between those mirrors, like I would not have a foot anymore, right? It would just
definitely.
Like but there was also Christoph, whose job it was to sit there with his stop button.
Oh, okay.
Right, and it's like
so they don't get halfway through your foot.
Exactly. Right. No, and it turns out that Christoph, he's a perfect example of this. The reason he's in robotics is because he saw our video for the one moment and he loved it. And he saw the behind the scenes and he's like, I want to do that.
Do you think that do you have any conceptualization on the potential impact you've had on a generation of people in STEM? Like, have you had conversations with people that said that they wanted to do, science and engineering because of like the Rube Goldberg and just kind of being exposed to those concepts early on in their lives?
We have a lot of feedback from teachers. Like we have a website called okgosandbox.org, and it's all lesson plans and classroom videos that teachers can use to actually teach. It's aimed roughly middle school, but it goes younger and older, based on our videos. And we get a lot of teacher feedback from those videos and from that site. I do meet a lot of people who anecdotally tell me that stuff, and increasingly it's like now they're adults. Like 5 and 10 years ago, I was meeting high school kids who were like, I went to robot camp because of you guys, and now they're coming out of college and they're like, building AIs that are going to kill us all.
I feel like you guys almost started the Rube Goldberg trend, because that was like a huge thing
that's
on the
really
internet.
Interesting.
I would say Rube Goldberg might have done that.
No, but the translation to the internet.
We really lucked out in terms of time. Like all of this stuff. I think when I look at social media now and look at the attention grabbing moments, it's like it is a flooded market, right?
Yeah.
Like it is like you said, it's a perfect system of like attention grabbing. And 20 years ago, it was like there was no reason to spend time making a Rube Goldberg machine in your house or your office or in an abandoned warehouse, right? So like thinking about how cool that would be and being like, we could do that. And we have the sort of framework of this reason was a music video was awesome. And now it's just like, do it just for the attention is already, there's a whole economy perfectly layered in for that.
Well, that was definitely an inspiration to my brother and I, because we set up the whole house,
Awesome.
like Brio train, like marbles, and I think, all that stuff.
Well, there's, what's amazing is, of course,
bouncing down the stairs to the basement. Yeah.
That is there's, there is a long history of people making those machines, of course, but where it's so funny, your way in, right? That there's
exactly. Where were you exposed to it?
There's a pair of fine artists from Germany, I think, Fischli and Weiss, who have a famous art film called The Way Things Go, which is just a giant Rube Goldberg machine, and it's from the 70s, I think maybe 80s, but I think 70s, and when we went to go play a show in the lobby of the Guggenheim once, and in New York, and they were like in the prep call for it, they were all very nice and everything. Like, but just do us a favor, you can't play that video while you're here. The Rube Goldberg video. We're like, what? And they're like, yeah, it just wouldn't be okay with our donors. I was like,
what are you talking about?
They in a particular slice of fine art, our video was such a ripoff of a 70s art video.
Oh god.
And I remember, and I was like, you recognize they're called Rube Goldberg machines after a person who lived in the 20s, right? Like, so you're telling me this is like
we stole from Steelers.
We like and I mean, and of course, like I love that film, of course, but like Rube Goldberg machines are as like that's like being like you can't. I don't know. Degas had a bunch of ballerinas, so you guys can't ever have.
It's like copyright or patenting a nail. Like, how else am I gonna hold these two pieces of wood? It's literally like take a bunch of trash and build a weird contraption out of it.
But that is the art world. Is that it's sort of like it's all about the ownership of novelty in this idea, right? And having it be, of course, high art that it's novel, right? Like I am Jackson Pollock does splatter painting. You don't do splatter painting.
Right.
He does.
You
that.
can't do that.
You know, and then, no.
No, you got to throw something else at the wall, like shit or something.
Yeah, exactly. and that which is why, you know, which was and they're paying for it now, or at least that world is unraveling in a weird way where they're starting to realize that like visual culture is a very real thing with very real inputs, and it was totally dominated by, let's say, the church or Michelangelo at one point, and high art in this sort of contemporary 20th century way had museums and a whole way of influencing the world. But now they're having to respond to the fact that visual culture keeps moving regardless of what they say, and like. It's a very weird thing because we are now in conversation with a lot of those people again, because they're looking at our work from 20 years ago going like, oh, we see that like what happened online has a lot to do with what you did 20 years ago. And all of a sudden that's starting to seem like history. And all of a sudden that's starting to seem like an artistic movement.
Like everyone realizes everything way too late. It feels like it's all hindsight.
But look, I'm all for it. Like, I'm not going to complain about that, but it is also, I don't know. It just makes it's like I go back to me as a college kid going like, the reason I didn't want to write an essay about what I was drawing. I wanted to draw what I was drawing, and then and I wanted to make a thing that made people feel like I chose Michelangelo as an example because when I was a preteen, I was obsessed with Michelangelo, and I was obsessed with the idea that like a pencil drawing of muscles could make you feel like something was alive, like that magic of like, how could just lines do this to you, right? And it's so simple and so beautiful and so timeless and so perfect, right? And that is why I wanted to paint and draw and everything. I wanted to be able to make the thing, right?
Yeah.
And when I took that through a lot of different angles, including some very abstract and very modern ones, before the point where I like got to a bunch of teenagers who were going, who felt like they were trying to like game the system, right? Like, how do I make something more transgressive than you, rather than just how do I make something that moves you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that same moment, pop music was still really moving me and still does to this day in a way that I was like, well, that is emotions and humanity and love and magic in a way that the essay isn't. But the reason why we're still talking about Michelangelo or any of these artists is because it is not because of the essay, but because of the fucking art, right? Because the heart and the soul and everything. And so it's good with me. It's great with me if the art world starts to like revise itself to be like, oh, right, there is a tactile, sensational thing that has happened across these decades that is meaningful. And at the same time, we're fighting this battle with like, what does meaningful even mean when it's been reduced to these platforms that are all just an engine for engagement,
views,
like, and it does that. Are you as moved now when as you're doom scrolling and like, is there a way for you to feel the thing that we felt 20 years ago?
I mean, not really, which it's kind of like, it's why we run Open Sauce, the STEM event. Is this sort of, it's like the thing that we all like is the collaboration and engagement with other people who like to do things.
Yeah.
And you get sort of the most concentrated version of that in real life, where you get to, physically see the stuff people have, done and ask them questions about it. But it does make me think about how I got into YouTube, which was, pretty much right at the start, like 2006, but I was also, younger. How did you, like, what was that like getting into YouTube? Essentially, it was not a thing. Like, it wasn't a thing. Like 2006, like the fact that you posted that video in 2006 is like YouTube was not a thing.
Yeah, no, we were contacted by Chad at youtube.com.
Hurley.
Yeah. Chad Hurley wrote like, and I'm sure his partner or partners were doing the same thing. It was just like, they literally like, they'd seen stuff that.
Where did they see your stuff?
They saw it on something called iFilm.
Okay, so you guys were posting stuff completely, not even YouTube wasn't the start.
Right. And other people were posting our stuff sometimes. Like we had made, I mean, this is boring or nerdy or whatever to this. I'll try to make it short. When we first started, we were invited to be on a TV show in Chicago. It's called Chicago. It was a local cable access TV show where bands could come, like they would have like babysitters bring their kids on, and I mean kids, and just like bands would play. And but they didn't have a way to record the bands. We didn't know this, and we had one song demoed, and we are like, wait, you mean we have to lip sync? And we were thought of ourselves as such like a stalwart like rock band that we weren't going to lip sync. That's lame, you know? Or if we are going to lip sync, if we have to lip sync, then we'll swing for the fences. We'll do what, like, let's make fun of boy bands, or go, like, let's go all the way. So we came up with a totally over the top, ludicrous boy band dance.
Nice.
It was crazy. And we realized that we started doing it in our live shows because it was like in the early aughts when everybody wanted to be the Strokes, and like everybody was shuffling their feet and smoking cigarettes in indie rock clubs.
Yeah.
If you broke into dance, that was way punker than anything you could do that was punk,
okay.
right? Because people like had to like smile or get the fuck out. Like there's it's so in your face. So it became our thing to do to like break into dance at the end of our set. For our second album, we knew we wanted to keep doing this, but couldn't keep on performing a dance from our first album, right? Like that's anathema. And so my sister was a professional ballroom dancer at the time. Trish C is her name, and she came to help. We were living in LA, and she came to help choreograph a new dance for our new tour.
Yeah,
and we've got the thing. It's all done. We're finished. We're ready to go on tour. And a friend of ours said that that her friend had just gotten a job working on the new Michel Gondry video, some big dance affair for some rapper named Kanye something. And we were like, what? Are you telling me that Michel Gondry doesn't think we're the dance band? Like that's how in our own bubble we were, that we were like, and so we were like, well, okay, put a camera up. We're going to show him our dance. So we shot a clip of us doing our new dance in my backyard. And it turned out so ridiculous that like we showed it to a couple of our friends because it was so stupid. Tim, I mean, it's for the song A Million Ways. It's still online. But we started giving it out to fans on DVDs at shows, being like
a YouTube video, basically.
Exactly, on DVD.
Wow.
And one of them posted it on iFilm. Who knows? But we saw then like I remember the guy who was running our website at the time, Jorge Just, one of my dearest friends in the world, was like, do you know that your video has been downloaded 300,000 times from that iFilm?
That's
thing?
crazy.
And that was like, right. And that was as many, we had sold 300,000 of our first album.
Like,
so
what?
It was like very easy to compare. It was like, we've done, 4 years of touring and a major label video that was on MTV, and, like opening slots for 1 million bands and playing every festival in the world was 300,000 purchased albums. And Dance in the Backyard for 30 seconds or whatever it was 300,000. Now, one of them actually like is people paid for, and the other one is just like,
but still that's crazy engagement, like,
right?
To download.
Well, exactly. And that was the other thing, is we were like, at that time, it was clear that all of those people were in the IT department, right? Like there's nobody in 2004 or 5 or whatever it was, there's nobody who streaming wasn't a thing. Right. And like getting a clip onto your computer was already something that most people didn't know how to do. So we didn't think we were making rock videos, but we did think like, we had been at the end of shows, we'd go out, we'd like stand outside with a spiral notebook, getting people's email addresses, being like, so that we could have direct contact with people. Yeah.
The band members.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, 23-year-old kids, like, yes, the band members, but also like, we're opening for.
You guys are mega hustlers.
That sort of, but like, that's not that. There isn't like every band in the world sells their own merch when they first start out. Like you can't. Who else is going to do it for you? And like, of course, you're going to have the notebook on the table.
It's probably a strong conversion too. The band member asking, give me your email. They're like, all right, fine.
Right, exactly. And but it was like we have an email list of a few 100,000 people or a few tens of thousands of people. I don't know how many it was at the time, but it was like, and now with this thing, we've reached like these are our people.
Yeah.
Like they're not necessarily like rockers. They're not the people we thought we were, but like these people found us because they like our weird sense of humor. And so while we go make our next album, let's just record one more of those things for them. And that was, I went to my sister. I was like, we got to do another dance thing, but we don't want it to be just dancing again. We got to come up with a dance that is like somehow different. And that was the treadmill.
That was the first stop.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Was that like a childhood thing?
No, I think my sister had like imagined as she was at the gym, she had like seen people and she was like, we should dance.
People falling off the treadmills, and it was like,
I mean, that was filmed at her house. She was teaching ballroom dance out of that ballroom she'd built in her backyard. And our manager, if we had told him we were taking 10 days off of tour to do that, he would have shot us. So it was like, we're just gonna go. We got a project we want to do. Just block out these weeks for us. And the full budget for it was like a few $100 to buy the treadmills and then sell them back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, one time I found an exercise bike on the side of the road and dragged it home.
Yeah.
Where did you find 8 treadmills?
My sister's husband, my brother-in-law, Rue, he found there is kind of a real market in buying expensive equipment from expensive gyms and selling it to cheaper gyms.
Okay.
Because like the expensive places have to have new stuff all the time, and the cheaper gyms just need good stuff, right? So the deal was that like he'd buy it back from us. This broker would buy it back from us at 80% of what he sold it to us for.
Then he would just sell it to somebody else and like double it.
It was like you take it off my marketplace for 2 weeks, and as long as they don't break it, I just got free money.
Nice. So it was like literally only a couple $100.
Only a couple. I mean, I'm sure I bet we had to put up a few thousand and then got a few thousand back. But like I mean, 8 treadmills. It was probably like, each of them probably cost $2 or $3 grand, and then we just got it back. Like we just, we were sleeping on the floor at my sister's house, and maybe we stayed at a motel. I can't remember, but it was the only job was to make something like for those crazies. Like this is the way we connect with people. Awesome. It was not, I mean, it was a music video, but it was like not, we certainly didn't think it would be on like music video channels, And during that time, I remember Jorge, same guy who told us about the other thing, was like, you guys need to start using YouTube. It's the future. You guys need to start using YouTube. And I remember we were in San Francisco when I got mad at him. I was like, please stop telling us to make more stuff. Like we play a show every night and we're trying to write a new record. And like, I don't care about telling people what my lunch was. Like I don't like the thing that has become standard of sort of like live streaming one's life in some way was the exact opposite of what I wanted to do. And he was like, this is the platform. This is the thing you need to do. I was like, I can't make more stuff, and fuck you very much. And when we finally made this video, the idea wasn't like, we're going to put it on YouTube. We were like, this will be the thing we release right as we go back into the studio. And it'll be like our mega fans have a new thing to chew on while we're making the new record. And we were playing a show in Moscow, actually, when our guitar tech came up to me and was like, you know that like that video you guys made, the treadmill thing, it's out, right? I was like, what? And our label, who we had shown it to, had released it without our knowledge on a platform called stupidvideos.com.
Are you fucking kidding me?
They have, and when we went ballistic on them, they were like, "Oh, you should see the numbers. You should see the numbers."
Oh my god!
We're like, you don't think there's maybe telegraphing a little something about?
Could you be like Good Videos? Did you try them first?
Yeah, so luckily, because it was in Russia, we had like 12 hours before it like went viral in the States, and so they took it down. And we just put it on. We started a YouTube channel and put it on, or whatever YouTube.
So
channel.
that was the first video on the YouTube channel.
Well, it was. I'm sure whatever you saw must have been the first one. And Jorge just was like, because we were just like, okay, put it up. Now we put it up. You know, and that started the battle with them about who.
So you did this without their permission, which was like technically against the contract you had with them. And then they saw it and they're like, oh, we made this, and then they posted it online outside of your guys' control.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, we made it. We can make anything we want. We just can't release it, right? And we showed it to them. We're like, here's our new video. Like we had already tried to make the most of the backyard dancing video. I remember our friends in the label who were really cool about it were like, it was measurably at some point the most downloaded music video of all time, right? So they were like, they used it as a marketing thing briefly, right? That was like there were 7 inches of that of A Million Ways with pictures of us dancing in my backyard. Yeah. So like they knew these guys broke the internet before streaming, and they were using that. So when we turned in the next one, we were like, we knew that this was that it was something like they had to know about it. We couldn't just put it up without them knowing,
right?
But and we did not expect them to have their own marketing plan for it.
And they didn't say anything.
No.
That just it just enrages me so much of like, you can't do this, you're not supposed to do this, and then you do it, and then they take it, and then it's ours.
Stupidvideos.com.
Yeah, and then that doesn't help either. Yeah, there actually, I think at that point were probably quite a few other websites that had different names, and they picked that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do remember, but it, again, in fairness to them, like there was things got like, remember collegehumor.com was such a big deal. It's like, it had nothing to do with college. It was just like a name can stick, and like, and these guys are just chasing numbers, and stupidvideos.com is like, it was the thing of the moment.
You know, the hard part of this whole thing was having the foresight to make a video like that. And the easiest part is uploading it to a website.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that frustrates me to hell and back, where it's like, okay, if we want to like work together, can you contribute more than just uploading it?
I know.
Give me, like, pay for it, you know, give the funding to like make these bigger videos. Because even the second one was the Rube Goldberg, and you had to find the funding through an external organization as well.
Yeah.
And it seems like, you know, would the YouTube ad revenue on these videos even pay for the next music video? No. So like, it's kind of this perpetual fight for you to do your art, and at least you have control of it now.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah.
What is, and you plan on doing more big videos?
we have several, there's another video or two that we want to make for the album. We're still sort of the current album. We're obviously working on new music right now. And I mean, I'm also like, I'm very fascinated to see what world we all live in 5 years. Because like, I am kept up at night by like I go to like the deepest philosophical place with respect to what art is for, if it's so infinitely reproducible now. Like, and it's not that I'm the first person thinking this, or that we haven't been through other generations of this exact same problem, but as an example, I've tried to tell this to people and it never sticks. So sorry for wasting everybody's time because this is not going to work. But like, for years, I have started many demos with a big library of drum loops I have, or not loops necessarily. Sometimes they're full songs, or whatever, but I just have like a bunch of drum tracks, and they're never the ones you hear in the eventual song, right? There's something to hang a creative idea off of. It's like, it's to get it from being big open white space into a feeling, right? And a lot of times after I've started into the song, I'll pull that out and put something else in, or something, like whatever it is. There's nothing in my soul that has ever felt like those pre-recorded drum tracks are somehow removing any sort of creative input of mine. Like they're nothing, they're cloud seeding, right? It's like little crystals.
It's almost like just a metronome keeping time for you to
exactly, like, but a metronome with
out.
Feel or with like, and it does it, and that has never struck me as, it has never taken any agency away from me in any way. However, there is no logical difference between that, the you know, it's a slippery slope between that and getting an AI to spit out infinite numbers of songs that with literally my voice singing things that I might have sung, right?
Yeah.
And there are people who do this now. And if we wanted to generate more okay go-ness like quickly, there'd be ways we could do that and then re-record them ourselves if we didn't want it to be fake, right? But when you pull back a level, you're sort of like, what does it matter for anyone to listen to these songs or for them to exist in the world at all? Like if the end user doesn't know the and I hate even saying user, but if the person at the end of this
consuming the product,
right? Like if the receiver of the art on the other end has no idea where it came from in the first place, does it matter if it's me or not? Why doesn't it like, why would anybody make any of this kind of stuff in the first place? And then all I can do is
like, does anything matter? Do I matter?
And then one day you die.
Exactly. And I come back to I just come back to this sort of like, well, I still really, the process of chasing that thing still, it feels really vital to me and really important to my, like, the hours I'm alive, right? And so like, this is not a great answer to your question, but when I try to think about like, what art will we be making, like what videos do I want to make, it's so it has so much to do with the context of what spaces are left in the world that feel like they could genuinely resonate in a vital way, and not just feel like I'm feeding the attention economy.
I
you know?
think there will always be people who appreciate the effort that went into doing something. And that's kind of the unmagic of AI, is no effort went into it. And so, like, to me, your guys' videos are people who have spent a sort of a quantifiably large amount of their lives trying to make something. And somebody recently kind of, gave me the sort of the verbiage of the idea of a charged object, and that the idea being something that has meaning. And meaning, I think, because we're sort of monkey brained, is tied to, like, did somebody value it? And so putting time into something implies value in the final result. And AI generally doesn't, no time is put into it. And so there's not really any value or anything special in the final result.
Well, it's also, what is AI? Because I think that there are AI videos that people generate that might be fine, like might be boring on their own, but they can still compose them into something that's interesting and creative.
But does it have the same charging as, like, somebody spending, the week choreographing a music video where you're, like, jumping over a treadmill? Like, which one is more interesting?
No, but there was, like, the Door Brothers on Instagram just made like a full length AI video.
But does
like
that feel
movie.
as special as, like, knowing a couple of people went out and, like, made a short film?
No, but it does feel more special than somebody making some Italian brain rot. I mean, cappuccino ballerina.
That's why I say I think that, like, there
is talent behind it.
Yeah, there is talent, but it's not as obvious, sort of the level of suffering. Like, what's more interesting, a digital painting or a physical painting? Like, if you were to pay, if you had a physical painting.
But you could spend just as long making either. And, like, I agree. I love this assessment, but I also think it falls apart in practically.
Yeah.
Because, like, you have no idea how much went into that piece of pop music that's on the radio.
Yeah.
And especially, like, I do think that I mean, music's a pretty good example because it feels so easily replicable right now. Like, the whole idea of something, like, you want to hear something novel and fresh like that. Who knows if that's a real person on the other side of that? Who cares, right? I do care, but it is not, but I wouldn't necessarily know. And I think like I would, my slight change to your formulation is that when anything is possible, nothing is special.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't necessarily mean that something becomes charged by people putting love and effort into it. People put a lot of love and effort into really bad music before.
Yes.
And people have also made really incredible works of art accidentally, or even via process and chance. And I like, it's just that all of those conceptions need to be reframed now. And I think that, like, what we are as humans in terms of our art creation, and in terms of most things, but especially art creation, is like pattern recognition specialists, right? Like, we're like really good at like like feeling what it was that we grew up with, that we love so much, and seeing like what we want to make out of that. And unfortunately, these machines are just demonstrably and so many orders of magnitude better at that than we are. That even if right now you're saying, like, yes, but there's real creativity in there, blah, blah, blah. I would argue that, like, soon enough, real creativity is like anything you can say that is creative is it itself a pattern, even if it's like that like nobody could have predicted disco came from punk or punk came from disco, whatever. I totally disagree. Like, you might not be able to predict that leap, but you can predict that at a certain point this has to change, because things can only go on so long. And at a certain point, these are the types of things that change, and these are the types of changes, and these are the types of changes and changes. Like, that there's always going to be a level of pattern that you could reduce it out to, and that these machines will do better than humans at that. And eventually, in fact, not very long from now, will be outdoing us at even the stuff that we think of as creative.
Yes, I think that the middle will disappear. Like, if the bottom is AI, the middle is work that could be replicated by AI. I think there is a part at the top where, your guys' music videos specifically, they tell a story about the human experience to make it. I think that will have a place much longer.
I hope so.
Than the thing that does not explicitly tell that story as well.
I want that to be right. Yeah. I worry, of course, that that only matters, that only gets made if the stuff at the bottom in the middle doesn't effectively push the buttons of the algorithms.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I think the chances are low, to be honest, but I'd be much more worried about the disappearance of my creativity or my thinking or my job if I had any job other than the one I have. Like, all of them are screwed. Like, like doctors and lawyers and accountants and computer programmers are even more screwed than artists are. And like, it's easy to look at our field and freak out because of the sort of magic that is on display right now when fake humans can be made doing.
Maybe that'll free up doctors and lawyers and scientists to be artists.
Oh yes.
Once
if the computers are doing our
AI
doctors and our computers are doing our
I'm
art.
saying like, in the ideal utopia, people don't have to work.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to
machines-
shove a metal rod up your ass, a metal rod down your throat, and you're going to turn into a giant Duracell AA
Oh,
battery
I've
like
seen
the
this
Matrix.
Sounds good.
It's
earlier-
it could be so much worse.
I don't think we were entirely honest with you, or at least Nigel wasn't, when we were talking about being able to share YouTube videos with each other, and like we were talking about copyright and royalties.
Yeah.
Nigel had somebody basically, he said he'd be fine with somebody stealing his videos almost, shot by shot, but he had somebody actually steal his whole persona and his whole likeness. They made an AI NileRed on YouTube. And he was not
Kevin,
okay
you're
with
saying
that.
You said I was okay with people stealing things like word for word.
Well,
I was just
video
I kinda was
ideas
just saying
and
that-
stuff.
Footage. And
I'll just elaborate. All I was saying was that in music, there's like feels like there's more of an established pathway to fight that. Whereas on like YouTube and media, the only option you have is kind of like, did they repost my actual video?
See, now he's
And
getting
it's like,
defensive
no.
about it. Before you're like, yeah, you can use my clips, you can use my videos, that's fine.
What?
You can copy my
That's
ideas.
not what I meant.
But then
That's
when it
not what
comes
I
down to
meant.
copying you, that was interesting. So do you want to explain that situation? Like what happened? Fill 'em in.
Yeah. I mean, it's a while ago, so the details are fuzzy. But basically, when I mean, deepfakes came out a while ago, but then somebody came along and started. I
you
guess
have
it was like
NileRed,
deepfake, and then
his second channel, Nile Blue.
and then the third channel, Nile Green, came around.
And that was the faker.
That was a fake one.
Sweet.
But what he did was it kind of was in that time where the fake AI was still kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But he bridged that gap by actually building like a little set that looked like where I would film. And then he did the AI voice. He got the script to be, very similar. And then he started deep faking the face. And yeah, a lot of people, I thought it was really funny at first until I started realizing that
People couldn't tell. It was like
people didn't
it was riding the
know.
line between like parody and then like identity, sort of like impersonation.
yeah.
Like it was riding the line really hard.
And then he did it as sponsorship too.
That
like
was
as NileRed.
I would say that I wasn't concerned at all, really, because at the beginning, because the videos had like 2,000 views or 1,000 views. I was like, haha, this is funny. Then I woke up one day and the video had, I think, like it had a few million or more. And then I went to my parents for dinner and my dad brought the video up.
Shit.
And he was like, I saw this funny video. And he goes, at first I thought it was you. And I was like, oh, no.
Like, yeah.
And then it started being concerned because I was like concerned because I'm like, if this guy just starts doing stuff that's makes me look bad, most people will watch it and just think I did that.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like,
I think it's like, so it was like a very novel way for someone to use AI because it was like making somebody do something that they wouldn't normally do that you couldn't do with traditional effects and, an enormous, but I mean, I say enormous budget, even like TV shows couldn't even do face replacement very well.
Yeah.
Like you sort of just get to like puppeteer someone else's name and likeness using AI. And like, that's kind of entertaining for a little bit, but then those like long-term repercussions. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's like, to me, there's several problems. Where there's the creativity problem where it's like if everything's special, nothing is special.
Yeah.
But I still feel like the effort, like, or the in-person experiences, because you guys still tour.
Yeah.
And like, have you noticed a sort of like any, correlation between, AI and like tour numbers?
No, because how could you tease out AI from the rest of the modern world? Certainly the music industry's way of thinking and talking about itself over the last 20 years has gone through this like progression of like, they can't steal our music, to like 360 deals, meaning like the labels no longer sell the recordings, they own the artist and everything else does.
So like 360 would be like
360 deals were like, instead of the label signing an artist for their recordings, they would want a cut of everything.
So they like, you're like almost become like what was like the actors back in the day? They were like tied to a studio.
Studios, yeah,
like that.
Yeah, like that kind of a thing, and then eventually into this sort of like and licensing money starts to disappear because the film and TV industry is going through the same death spiral. So there's a lot less money in, like, it used to be that like getting your song in a TV commercial was a like big 6-figure payday, and not anymore. And like it has all focused more and more and more attention on live shows, but I'd say in a way that seems much more defensive rather than sort of like, but at least you can never take away the live show. It's sort of like, I can't take it. Like, and some of that also tracks with my own life just growing up, that like when we put out the treadmill video, like I said, we were at the end of a tour cycle. We had toured for 18 months on an album, like the longest we'd taken off in those 18 months was 10 days. And we put out the video, and the next week we had 52 more weeks of shows booked, because it's like, it blew up so fast. It was like,
holy shit.
Like and that was like, for a 27-year-old or whatever, like that's the best thing you can do for your rock band, just tour, tour, right? Yeah. And it certainly destroyed some relationships, and it certainly changed some life trajectory, but it wasn't like, but those were the choices to make when you're 20 something. Now, as a 50-year-old with 2 young kids and a home life that I really love, like the last thing I'm going to do is be on tour for 30 something months in a row.
Yeah.
And so yes, we could tour more and make more, like, our life would be much more like, our pockets would be deeper if we played more shows, and there's nobody who can take that away on some level. It's also like, it feels like a big bait and switch in the world. Like, I love rock shows, but but like when I'm in the studio trying to like make what I feel like is a platonic ideal of this song, like the version of this song, it's not like, so finally I can get out there and play this for people. It's like, this is the artwork. I want this to have value too. And who knows if it ever will.
I kind of feel like it's almost impossible to plagiarize you guys because of that like artistic enthusiasm and the output you have. Like,
Thank you.
Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I feel with Nile Green, it was taking his persona and his voice and the set and kind of the people's familiarity with it. But like, I'm trying to imagine, like, for you guys, for OK Go, for someone to come in and try to pretend to be you using AI or whatnot, like whatever video they would make would be probably pretty obviously AI
right now, for sure.
Yeah, but like, even like, if there was even an inkling that it was AI, would it not just immediately become uninteresting?
I totally
depends
agree.
on the generation, honestly.
Oh no,
I think there's that, and I also think like that is assuming we freeze the sort of world where it is now in a not only technologically in terms of what is capable, but in terms of like the categories of universe that each of us have. Like, I want to listen to this band, I want to do that. Like that. I'm worried less about someone doing a perfect recreation of what we make, and more about just the total flood of all music, video, everything channels.
I think
all of the entertainment that there is, with a perfect machine of attention grabbing that makes the art that makes anyone's art gesture essentially like a hobby.
The void
right?
gets bigger and bigger, and you shout.
Right, it's just that like in the same way that our videos had a very specific thing that nobody else knew how to do 15 years ago, and now while it's not recreated via social media, that same hook of like, ooh, what is that, has been baked into 15-second, much hookier, right? Like a perfect. There's no music. There's not like it doesn't to me like hit the same art nerves, but it gets the same attention.
Saturates,
right? And like it has definitely devalued the idea of these art gestures, right?
Yeah.
And I assume that sea of endless just content, like
slop.
it is, regardless of how good or bad it is, just devalues everything that goes into the sea.
Do you think that young people will be less inclined to learn how to play an instrument like guitar because of AI music? Like it's not that they don't want to, it's that maybe there's a little bit of a reward pipeline that gets people to play guitar that doesn't exist anymore?
I don't know. Right now, I feel like it's gone the other way, which is that it's made people, at least social media, I think, has made more people into like really wanting to master a particular skill, but everybody does it for the purpose of showing off that they can do it
themselves. Yeah, like almost the opposite, like an anti-AI kind of gesture. Like
or in a weird way, it's like it also doesn't feel like an art gesture, because to me, it's not like people are going like, "Look, I made you a song." They're going, "Look, I can play this thing." Right. It's like a lot of personal advertising, and like. And that is obviously like anybody could look at any band and say the same thing. We're just advertising ourselves. But like when I'm making the song, I'm not trying to make a badge of meanness out in the world. I'm trying to make this song, right? And I want that song to do for others what songs have done for me. And I don't get that sense when I watch when I watch somebody doing this incredibly virtuosic, drum recording, going like, I made this with one mic and it sounds just like, it's like, I think it sounds really cool, but it doesn't feel to me like I'm not going to go listen to that ever again. I don't feel like they're making something that we are.
Like their hardest, they tried their absolute hardest. They push themselves to the maximum to like create this thing.
Yeah. And I like, it's just an old fashioned way of thinking about it, but it's way where my brain is stuck is like this. I have a sort of constellation I live by, right? Like there's like things I learned when I was a young kid or a teenager or whatever that still guide me. And I'm adding to it all the time, but like your sky is what your sky is. And this is how you know how to like navigate the world. I don't feel like it's very, very infrequent that I see something on social media, no matter how ingenious or clever or whatever it is, where I'm like, ooh, this is now one of my guiding lights, right? It just becomes part of the throughput. And I don't know how many people who are mastering guitar are making things that become somebody else's constellation.
Like they want to do it, yeah.
And like, so I don't, and I don't know if AI will be able to make any of that stuff for us, or if I suspect what's happening is like that world of those constellations is either getting baked in some kind of way that I can't predict at all. Like the Beatles will always be the Beatles, the 20th century will always be the 20th century, but what's in front, gone. Or it's resetting it so entirely that like that my kids, 7-year-old kids, just will not have that, like that moment of connection to various art pieces that makes them feel like that's their path through life. I don't think they'll lose creativity. I don't think they'll lose joy in life, but they will have an utterly different experience than I did.
Would you be worried if they told you they wanted to pursue a career in music?
No, I mean, is it a good choice if they want to be rich? Like terrible choice. Like nobody should have been chasing art even 30 years ago as a good career choice.
Is it worse now though?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, when we started YouTube, we didn't do it to make money. We just did it to share videos with people. The money making part wasn't even an option. Like we had no idea that was even a thing.
It was like the community on the platform and seeing, I mean, like early YouTube videos, like you guys or Bo Burnham, Kasim G, Dax Flame. Like there was this whole community of people that was like, oh, these are like the people that like to do this thing too. Like I like the community, but I also like doing that thing. But like the community itself almost maybe pushes you in a direction to want to try to make videos where it's like I might not have made videos.
That was punk rock for me in DC. Like
that
DC
pushed
punk rock
you
was
into
exactly that. It was like these are my people. I love the things they make, and I want to be like them, so I'm going to make stuff like them.
Yeah, like I think The Lonely Island was like probably one of the biggest inspirations I had.
Yep.
And that was just, like I was like, oh, they did this and these people do this. And it's this whole group of people that do this thing. Like I want to be a part of that. And the way to be a part of that was to like exercise these, like skills.
Yeah, and I really don't like. I have no words of wisdom about whether or not that will still exist in 5 years or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
here's something I do know just from a interesting data point. I think it was a New York Times article, maybe it was New Yorker, but it was like there is very clear data about when your musical receptivity is as highest, and it's like I think it's 14 for boys and 15 for girls, or 13 and 14 or something. But like the music you listen to at that period will sort of always be the music you listen to. And you add to it after. It's not the only time, but it's like that's the height, right? And it's like a neurochemical thing that's just like
it's dubstep.
Like
Yeah, that's the music that I regret and grew out of.
I mean, what's interesting is like I still think back to like music I listened to at that era, and some of it is like is still like pillars of my existence, and some of it I'm like, I
Why?
can't believe I ever liked that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that you don't get a free pass just because somebody heard you when they were 14, but like that is when our brains are most receptive and wiring the code of self, right? Like you're like,
Yeah.
this is who I am and this is what I'm going to be. And that doesn't, I think, just apply to sound or songs, right? Like that is, everybody is going through some version of that, of like figuring out who they are at that age and in the years surrounding that age, and what we feed into. Like that's why people are freaking out about social media so much right now, is that we've finally gotten a few micro generations of people past that age enough to be like, 10 years after people have had Instagram at that age, they are fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like, and I'm thankful that my kids are young enough that like I think we'll get some of we have some sense of what is dangerous in that
Exactly.
space.
Like they didn't know that, 10 years ago. So these kids grew up like completely unfiltered social
Are
media.
you trying to
like
keep them off?
no restrictions.
My kids?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, my kid. I'm a fascist about screen time in general. Like I try to keep my kids away from like our rule is an hour a week, and we usually break it. We usually like but they're 7, like and none of that is like just go on the internet and do whatever you want, and like and that doesn't include I read books to them off of an iPad every day, but like but that's it's instead of it being paper, it's a screen, but it's still just words, and we will have to, that will obviously change as they grow and as we figure out what's safe and what's not. But for the most part, it's just like it's very clear that none of the neurochemical thrills or joys that you get from it correspond to the things in real life that trained us to want that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not
Like you're not actually rewarding yourself. You're not, eating food or like, making a tool or catching a fish.
always
and
ask
even
people-
community. I hate to like not to shit on this, but like community as like a bunch of like commenters is that's not the same thing,
Right.
Right. Like it is a facsimile for community, but it is not a good one.
I think there's like community paired with a sort of like a skill set. Like I consider all of us pretty lucky to be in the STEM space, because the kind of the social capital is, do you make cool things?
Yeah.
And so the lifestyle component that a lot of, genres of internet deal with is really not a thing that's celebrated. And so for us, like we're encouraged, like we have to do cool stuff. And then the people that want to engage with the community, like the easiest way is to like have cool stuff.
Right.
And it's opened a lot of doors and, puts pressure on us when you see something cool. You're like, oh man, like people are doing cool shit.
Yeah.
Like I gotta step my game up.
But you also like have pivoted as much as you can into like events with actual real people.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And sort of trying to build that thing that like I remember when I was first looking at YouTube.
Yeah, totally.
Because I have this feeling, based on how much money that these companies are dumping into, buying all the GPUs and RAM, is like, do you think the labels would, if they could, replace all of their actual real artists with AI if it was enough? Right. And I
if they
think
could still own it, like that, like no, and there's no. I don't even mean that as like a slight on like. It's not that they're evil people trying to like steal from artists, blah blah blah. It's like there's an infinite supply of people who want to get to play piano for a living.
Yeah.
And there's a much more limited supply of people who want to figure out how to get the value out of a whole bunch of piano players and aggregate it in such a way that it is an investment vehicle for other people who want to aggregate aggregations of investments.
Right.
It's the big money system, and it's many people, it's many like, you know, tunnels down to where artists live. Like those tunnels are people, but those are all good people just trying to like figure out how to make money from this stuff and sell it to that stuff, you know?
Right.
And if you could make a label that made that people listened to the music and they were happy and you got rich from it, like those people would do that.
Yeah.
And they're not evil, they're just doing business.
Right.
You know? It would also eat up a chunk of the sort of consumer base for real musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, that's exactly what all of these, like we are all contributing to these platforms that themselves are like individually cannibalizing the art that we love to make.
Yeah.
But but you also, it's like,
What do you do?
it is the town square, right? Like you can't make your art alone in your room and have nobody see it.
Right.
But if the town square also, like in this case, is owned and operates by like eating your art.
Yeah. It's very exciting. I mean, I feel like I'm just hoping that by the time that happens, I'll be either dead or won't have to think about it anymore.
Or you'll have realized that nothing you made anyways mattered. Right.
Yeah.
And that is a freeing thing. It's very, very hard to get yourself there. And I think it's much harder if you're like in your 20s than if you're in your 50s. But because like you're supposed to like you want to be like chasing the dream, chasing the opportunities. But the truth is that like none of those opportunities were themselves happiness, right? It's like, it's the going through the doors that is fun. It's the opening the doors that is fun.
Getting there and you're like, look at all that hard work and suffering we did. I've seen in your videos quite frequently, your eyes are like the same color as your skin. Like they're very red. And I see that and I'm like, they look fucking tired.
Yeah, man. There is the one for the song Obsession was a stop motion thing done in Japan.
Printers.
That was the printer
right?
one.
Yeah, it's a wall of printers, and
when the camera moves, it's so fucking cool.
Oh, like the depth
It's so
field thing.
fucking
I know.
cool.
I was whoa.
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of calculation to get that right. Also, if you get your calculations of how long the shoot is going to take off by like the tiniest bit per frame, it goes from being like 12-hour days to being 18-hour days. And then plus like an error here or there. Like I think we went 4 days with a total of 4 hours.
I saw some of the printers occasionally not putting a new page.
Oh yeah,
out.
there was lots of errors.
And I was like, I can't imagine that was by choice.
Those actually are also not printing. Each one of those printers is preloaded.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was guessing.
They've been modified so that all they are is they respond to a MIDI command to feed.
You know what you should have done?
What?
You should have bound stacks of those and sold them as like coffee table books.
I believe that was even suggested and tried. I'm not sure. Maybe they might still exist somewhere.
Because I feel like
no, they weren't. You know why?
Why?
Because the paper company.
Oh no.
No, they knew that they would be in trouble for wasting that much paper, so it had to be recycled.
Why can't you make books out of it?
I don't know, man.
Was this like
a few years?
Oh, the paper company knew that they would get in trouble if they didn't recycle it because people would watch the video and like know it was them that gave you the paper, or was it like
just like they're like that they didn't want the story to be, look, we wasted a ton of paper.
Yeah, you bind it in a book, and then
I thought maybe it was like a
absolutely would buy it.
Japanese culture.
Well, you're right. Maybe we should
thing.
reprint them.
And then nobody buys it.
Then there's a good waste. That's a good waste.
I thought that video was so cool, and like, you know, the most amazing thing is that you got like 500 printers to just work, but knowing that you just basically put a motor in them, doesn't take
away. Were they
away.
stock printers or were they modified?
They were modified. I mean, they were stock. They started stock, but they were modified to be. They literally, it's just a MIDI, like it was done by a MIDI, like, you know, musical MIDI.
Yeah,
Somebody went in and hacked every printer.
It was this Japanese guy.
Daito Manabe.
Yes.
Wow.
In the behind the scenes, I think you said there's only like one person in the world that could do this job. And then you showed him.
Yeah. His company, Rhizomatics, is like their Japanese art collective that does commercials and stuff too, and they are shockingly inventive.
Yeah,
and
I
cool.
saw the
Like,
whole
they're just-
simulation that he was doing on the computer.
yeah,
It
he
was
is a
impressive.
he's like one of those people whose brains you just like just sitting in a room with him and like watching him have ideas is like
Magical.
worth being alive for. You know, it's like he's a
Totally.
truly magical man.
So what are you working on now? You did a movie.
Did a
years
movie,
ago.
did another OK Go album. Right now, OK Go's working on new music. And we have, I hope if we can like thread all the logistical needles, we have 2 more videos, one or 2 more videos we want to make.
And those ideas are like fully fleshed out, or like you
pretty much. I mean, like the parameters that we will play in are fully fleshed out, in the sense that like they're not. There's many months of planning what each scene will be, or like how it will progress from this to that.
Thematically, you know, though, because like the idea of like the printer wall.
Yeah.
So you kind of have that like fundamental. Are they technology oriented? Seems like you guys have definitely moved more technology.
They require some technology. I'd say like we are trying to make them as tactile and human as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still like they're both the ideas I'm thinking about now are ones that like, you know, it's not human choreography so much as it is like idea choreography. But I, you know, the kind of through line to our things, as you've noted, is like seeing the work.
I kind of like the endurance. Like I think the amalgamate. I mean, I'm so sorry. The worse your experience, I think that the better the videos are. But there's something about the sort of human endurance combined with the technology. Like I mean, obviously the peak is probably the Rube Goldberg, right? Because they're clearly like is such a I mean, I would never suggest that. Like
Will it work?
A very relatable suffering where like the viewer they can imagine. It's like in their realm what they can grasp of them projecting themselves. I think it's why people watch football, because they think they could do it. Like they're like, I could do that, and I can imagine how hard it is to do all of those things. And so there's something fun about, you know, that thought process of like basically watching the output of suffering.
Well, yeah, or I mean, this is adjacent to that, which is like I remember, you know, learning as we made that video. It started out with 12 engineers working on that. We thought it was going to be 1 engineer. We put up like
Rube Goldberg.
Yeah.
We
were
Is
like
that one.
We didn't think it was going to be as big as that.
Yeah.
Like, right, we were like trying to figure out how we knew we wanted to make a Rube Goldberg machine that ran in time to the song, and that it would be that like the types of movement you would do that can actually be timed and repeated, timed, require a very specific type of engineering. But like that, it could be, I don't know, a person or 2, right? Like we could take as long as we want. Like we'll hire some. We put up a want ad basically, you know, and they
were gonna synthesize the things too, or did you just bring a pile of shit into the warehouse? And
Did you get to go shopping for this stuff?
Yeah, kind of. Like
that's fun.
So, anyways, a group of 12 people, a group called Sin Labs, who actually that's a different video. Said we'll do it, and we're like, we can't pay for 12 people, and they're like, you just pay us like we're 1. And so that group of 12 people came over to my house, and we started watching other Rube Goldberg videos we could find. There's a show called Pythagoras Switch in Japan.
Yeah, I would say it's always Japan.
Yeah, where all the interstitials were these very delicate little Rube Goldberg machines, and we just listened to our whole album twice, watching a loop of those videos, trying to see which songs made it feel like those actions were dancing, which ones made, like sometimes a dance song would make it feel like would make the action feel really slow and boring by comparison. Sometimes a dance song would make it feel like it was dancing, right? And like that was the only song that felt like, oh, this is giving the gravitas of the growth of this machine a feel like we know what this is. So the next step was to like have a big design meeting where everybody just like threw out ideas that we might want to do, right? And by now, like the 12 people have brought some friends, it's probably like 18 or 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we're actually in the space working on it, there's like 30 or 40 people who are sometimes coming, sometimes going, just like
friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, like I think they came up with a rule by the end that if you worked less than 18 hours in a given week, you don't get paid for that week.
Oh,
like it's just for fun, you know, like otherwise you get this nominal payment for like being part of the thing. Cause it was just, it's such a low budget thing, but
I would be so on that.
Oh, I know. It was like a total
Yeah.
nerd snipe. You just brought out everybody and their friends that
Yeah.
wanted to make something big.
It was so fun for that
Yeah.
reason. So but we also went on tour and came back, and all these people had made things that were like, what about this? What about this? And one thing I did not expect was that, like, you have to figure out the emotional valence of what a Rube Goldberg machine is, right? That like
Yeah.
it's actually pretty hard to describe because it's very easy for one to turn into a machine, right?
Yeah.
People
Mhm.
like this guy made this beautiful contraption with paper clips. Basically, it was like a all wood and paper clips, but it was so clearly it was a gears made of paper clips and all stuff, but so clearly a machine.
It
that-
wasn't like trash.
and there was no like chance element to it, right? And of course, there can't for the thing to work, it has to have a relatively low. Like you have to know that when this domino falls, roughly where it's going to fall.
Yeah, like
right?
less chaos kind of.
But if you have a domino on a hinge and you can see the hinge,
Yeah.
it stops feeling like a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah.
Right. Like at some point you're watching the inside of a clock, which is interesting to see all those gears work, but it's not surprising that they're working.
It's like
right?
NASCAR. You're waiting for the crash kind of.
A little bit. Like so the opening scene of that is we called it the Japanese table because it was like modeled after that show Pythagoras Switch, and everything had to be these like very gentle little thing, like will it go, will it not go? And the first design for it, these guys had done an incredible job, but there was no delicacy. It was like everything goes down a ramp that has sides on it, and if it goes down a ramp that has sides, it can't fall off. And
What's the point?
Yeah. And like realizing that you actually the feeling of it.
Oh my God.
That's so true.
Right?
I noticed
all
that, like with the
suffering.
bowling ball going down the spiral. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like it's gonna fall off.
And a bowling ball, as it turns out, is very, very, very predictable, right?
Yeah.
But it
that's-
doesn't feel like it when it
because
went like 20 feet across
you see
the
the
room,
whole
right?
spiral
It's a
like
target.
wiggle.
But like for instance, it's so there's this weird inverse. Like when you drop a piano from the ceiling, it lands in the same spot every time.
Yeah.
When you knock over dominoes, they do not
They
land.
go all over
Like
the place.
so it actually worked in our favor that like the little stuff in the beginning was
the most chaotic, and so you could restart
Yeah.
it if it failed without
Right.
having to do the whole damn thing.
yeah, which was just like we would definitely could not have predicted that.
Did you have
going in.
people with stop buttons, like basically a stick to jam in the machine?
Yeah. There was stops all along.
Yeah.
And there were restarts of the music. So what happened to keep everything in time with the music so that our lip syncing is in time with it,
Mm-hmm.
because we can only, like you have a margin of error for how this thing is going to work time wise.
Yeah.
Every 20 seconds or so, there's somebody who restarts the song in sync, so that afterwards we could just vary speed the entire thing just a hair to get it back to the song.
Clever.
Because otherwise, like by the time you get to the end, the lip sync is way off from the song.
How did you do? I was looking. I went through the 4-second one.
I like the mousetrap part too with the flags though in that Rube Goldberg machine. Very whimsical, the entire video.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the I can only. How much time did the whole video take?
How much
Time, yeah.
I mean, from like the moment we sent that email to it was in the can, probably like 5 or 6 months. But the actual build in the space, I think we had that space for like 4 to 6 weeks maybe. And really like most of that was very loosely, slowly moving. I'd say the actual build was probably about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
In the high speed video,
Right.
how did that lip syncing work? Because there's a little bit of lip syncing. You have like the crank wheels and like the book.
Yeah.
Like how the fuck?
You just need it to be consistent. Like basically, okay, so this is for the video, the one moment, which is it's like, a few hundred events happen in the space of
Like the
4
robot
seconds
arm
or
just is like ripping
Ripping through the-
and there's like high speed camera and then it gets slowed down like 100x.
Yeah, so each component of like I went into that again sort of stupidly just being like slow motion is cool. Like
Mhm.
we'll make stuff in slow-mo. Not thinking about like the slow motion speed of water droplets falling is very, very different than the slow motion speed of a bullet flying.
Yeah.
Like bullets are way faster than gravity, And so each section of that, the main planning for that was this giant spreadsheet of like this trick has to happen at this frame rate. This trick has to happen at this frame rate. And literally every beat.
Oh,
happens,
so you
right?
had to match what the phenomenon was to how fast the camera was filming
Exactly.
so that you weren't like over or underdoing.
So I
it.
think there's 7 camera speeds, and then within those, sometimes like if we're like let's say we're filming at 2,000 frames a second for the slowest part, we might actually play that back at effectively 500 frames a second for the 2 parts on either side.
Mm-hmm.
But what that means is that when it comes to lip sync, so in the beginning, Tim is holding a big flip book with
Like a
pages
phone
of
book, basically.
Exactly, like that. He just
But
has to
before
be,
that, though, there's the powder bombs going off in sync to the music.
Yes.
So how the fuck does he start?
He just has to start within a 1/10 of a second of reality. A 1/10 of a second sounds short, but it's not. Like if your bassist were playing a 1/10 of a second behind all the time,
Yeah.
you would feel it.
But he has to it's like flipping a book is articulate.
Yes, he has to be pretty fast. He has to be like, but what happened was that section of the frame, like where the flip is happening, like we just have to we had to vary speed the center of that.
Oh, so you could sort of like composite a little bit.
As long as I think our rule of thumb was 2%,
Yeah.
which is like things start to feel wrong, and maybe in slow mo you have a little bit more give than that.
Yeah.
Because it was like the things going off around him have to match up with the song, but if they're 3 frames early, they still feel like they're on beat.
It's fine,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
if they were all 3 frames early, bad. But if you have so it was just a sort of a shift between the lip sync moment. There's very rarely lip sync moments where other stuff is happening at the same time. So if you have to take that section and go, it's not at 500 frames a second, it's at 482 frames a second.
Right, just to
Fine.
smush it a little.
You
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that getting all of that perfect without any sponging, like any springing, would be. I mean, it's astoundingly fast.
And you can't always tell. Like there are parts like there's a place where I'm hit in the face with water balloons, and behind me there's water balloons being popped into sequence, and those ones they're being popped with a just an electrical charge.
Rocket motor igniters or something.
No, it's like literally the wire heats up enough to
it just pops
pop
the
balloon.
yeah.
So it's like a little wire that's like taped to each balloon,
Mhm.
and they and just watching them go at whatever the trigger device believes to be 16th notes at that moment. If you line them up, you're like, oh yeah, they're going with the song, but you don't. It's like they mostly just feel like
It's like so much noise you
Yeah.
can't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when that what does and doesn't line up that way. Like you just can't always guess it in advance.
Yeah, I think the video, the perspective video, that one I'm like, there is so much stuff happening that like I was like, I almost felt like I had to watch it like 4 times.
optical
Yeah,
illusions
yeah,
and-
the optical illusion one was like, it was like an overwhelming experience trying to like catch up.
That one's a fun one. Was a fun one to make because and a challenging one, mostly because all of those moments exist in only one. Like they're all exactly one
Like
location
it's like
in
kind
space.
of like, you know,
Mhm.
aligned.
Right, yeah. So all of the joy and pain of it is in the arriving to and leaving that spot.
yeah.
But so it's not like most of our videos, at least at that point that we had ever done, were like about something we were doing in the room around us and all this. But like this one was like you're moving from spot to spot, and you have these like you have to hit these. The camera has to hit these moments at these times, and it's like once you set up the bus system, the bus just goes to stop.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to like try to keep up with it and sing like. But it was getting that to feel not still or stale was the difficulty. Like how are we going to plant, like how do you make a path through this so that every 12 or 15 seconds you're having another like, oh, like it's not just sort of like
Yeah.
next, you know.
So how would you like rate the complexity of your upcoming project? More complicated, less complicated?
More.
Do you hate yourself?
Same complicated.
Or?
I don't hate myself. It's all like it's just about whether or not it will feel fun to chase.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm the next one that I hope we get to do is very complex, very tactile, very physical, and I think it'll be very, very fun.
Have you guys ever done like a Kickstarter or something to raise money instead of?
We have done some kind of a little bit. Like we did a crowdfunding thing on 2 albums ago. There was sort of like a crowdfunding for the album.
Yeah.
On our most recent album, we had a sort of fan club group that bought into the entire album cycles, like the year's worth of stuff, which helped raise money in advance to be able to make the videos.
Because I mean, like, do you ever talk about how much they cost or no?
I'm usually not allowed to give exact numbers because of brand partners don't want that. But there's like they're all at least 6 figures at this point.
Yeah.
And some have been more.
I mean, it's like, I think anyone looking at that and thinking it costs less than that is crazy. Like, it's an enormous cost to set stuff up like that.
Yeah, and yes, and like we get great film people doing great work, and they're doing it for the love of doing it. But also at that level, you like even people doing it for the love of doing it and doing it for half their normal rate are those are really, really good.
Yeah, like all the pyro people and whatnot and robot.
Yeah, and just like the production designer for our last one, for the one with the videos. I'm sorry, the videos. The one with the robots and mirrors, for instance. Like I know his name is Will Files. Sorry, Will Field. Will Files is I keep mixing up their names. He's another genius that I also love. I love you, Will. Has made. He prevised every mirror in the entire thing, months in advance.
Like a complete digital recreation.
Yes, with including like 6 levels of reflection in it.
Wow.
You know, and not that we still didn't change stuff on set here and there, not that we weren't, but like the level of passion and expertise that he needs for both of those is so he had to do so much work for that whatever we paid him wasn't enough. You know,
and he's synthesizing the whole like camera track, the mirror coming in. Like who came up with like the hole in the mirror? Like is that?
I mean, that's like there were 3 of us directing and then Will doing fabrication. So I can't remember whose idea that specific moment is. Like, or rather, I can say I remember the testing, the play that we did. Like I had a iPhone behind a little mirror with a hole, right, and doing tests like that. Mm-hmm. How we got a cine lens to get closed into a pair of doors was via a 3D printed device that Will came up with.
Yeah.
And how those doors closed around it might have been anyone like.
But like who came up with the idea to even like to have the camera go into the mirror? Because there's like every single step, like someone just says like, "What if we do this?
What if
you
threw
put on
like the kaleidoscope thing?
Yeah,
or then,
like the kaleidoscope,
dropping all the balls.
What if you put
a
a mirror suit on? Like this is like so many individual.
What we do for that is like first of all, it wasn't about robots. It was about mirrors. Right?
Yeah.
It's like it's like that. The magic there is like what can mirrors do, and would robots let us unlock things that you could not normally do, or humans could only set up once. And so it was a week of just like we got a stack of mirrors, and the 2 other directors and I, Miguel and Aaron and I, and 2 band members in a office space in LA just played with mirrors and would go like, what if like we'd sort of get effects we liked and go, this could go to this part of the song, this could go to this part of the song, and by the end of that week we had little sequences. It was like we could go from this feeling to that feeling and imagine what they would be doing with robots. Then 2 months later, we went to Barcelona where there was a showroom for that robotics company, Universal Robots, and they let us borrow 3 of their robots.
Those are small robots.
Those are small ones. Yeah. And they let us borrow their robots to test to see, do these effects feel the same on robots, and what else could be opened up by this. And during that is when I had like when I was playing with the iPhone lens through the back of a so we're still, and like I remember that was one by the time we got to that second testing, it was like, if we're going to do an infinity room, sort of a Kusama style infinity room, but it moves, then what we need is give me like 10 mirrors that are 6-inch squares, and we'll hinge them with tape, and like and they have to have little holes in them so I can put the camera in, and we'll test out the various things. And so I had like a library of, okay, this is what it looks like if you go from a pentagon to a square. This is what it looks like if you go from a triangle to a rhombus, and turns out like the effects of those things are not wildly different enough. Like we picked our favorite 3 and that was the choreography, but like we knew that like this moment in the song is going to be like, it starts with the sort of robot arms themselves dancing. Then we get into this trick. Then we get into that trick. Like you sort of get your various tricks aligned to the emotional beat in the song that feels right for it. And then you're fighting with reality. Like, how do you get the camera over the top of this thing fast enough to get into that little harness that you've made? And so to be solving the question of the harness 3 weeks away from shooting means you have to actually know that you want to, where that is in the song, and roughly how many feet you've traveled since the beginning of it, so that you can have found the right location. 2 months before that. And that is where Will Field is like, you can't skimp on your Will Fields of the world, because he needs to, from day one, have seen this idea, go, oh my God, that's amazing, and be pre-visiting it at his home for you to know what types of what questions are you even asking when the locations person says, I could do this for you at a train station. Would that work?
Yeah.
You got to be like, well, this is how many feet we need, and what would we see at this point in the song?
Holy shit.
Is big.
Yeah. That's a lot. I mean, I think that's why the videos are so fun. Is like, how much work goes into
and
that.
It's so fun to do. Like I do think that if I was just writing songs every day, I go into a bubble of sort of like of self-hatred, because it's just about whether this song is good and that song is. It's just very insular. And when I love being in this big group of people trying to solve this problem that all of us feel is like a little bigger than we can get our hands on.
Yeah.
And again, if every day were that, I think it would probably just
Go
like
crazy too.
die. You know?
Do you think that like, or when you're writing songs, is every song you're writing, do you have to
I have to go to the bathroom. Go on without
number
me.
1 or number 2? Do you
Have fun?
Are you writing songs with the intention of like all of them could be a music video, or
You're just writing songs to make good songs.
they're just writing songs and then after the fact you've maybe like oh, this would be a good one,
Yeah.
or you pair it to an idea, like you have more of an idea?
Some of both. It's
Yeah.
like there are ideas that have sat around for longer than, like, the idea we're working on now. I have tried to pin to other songs in the past, and it changes so dramatically depending on what song it is, because the whole emotional point of it is different. But sometimes an idea will sort of sit around and wait for the right song. Sometimes a song just demands a specific idea. Like the One Moment was kind of like the song is about one moment that changed everything. Like obviously we have to film this in one moment, you know? But there's never been a time that I can think of where we're actually, when we're writing, trying to like the song that is trying to reverse engineer something, or like back into the idea of a pre-existing video or any video. Like it's in a lot of ways writing the songs a lot harder than the videos, because there's a million other people just like me sitting in their home studio writing songs too. You know what I mean? Like every nook and cranny of this has been explored by so many people, and you're trying to find the one way. Not that I'm competing with them, but just that like finding that spark of honesty and truth and everything without resorting to any novelty or any like technical. But what if we can? But just finding the moment where it resonates is like, that's hard enough. I'm certainly not thinking like, are we gonna have robots for this?
So what led to trying to make a movie? Like, where did the ambition come from?
It was sort of the obvious next step from all the direct, like, you know, I've been directing music video, these videos for years now, and my wife is a screenwriter and has also been, you know, has dealt with a lot of. Has been sort of director adjacent for a lot of stuff. It was sort of her next step was directing. My next step was directing. We had young babies, and it was sort of like, your career means you go off to film sets all the time. My career means I go off the tour all the time. Or we could just like do this together.
Yeah.
So we directed a film together, and it was incredibly difficult. It was so rewarding in so many ways, but it's not always fun.
What's sort of the part you didn't expect?
The part I didn't expect was how well modularized the creative process is. That I'm used to having the creative discussion we were just talking about with respect to the robots and mirrors, and where are those going to go, and like how is it all going to work, and trying to figure out how you're going to seat the lens into the doorway, and whether you need the doorway and all that kind of stuff. I'm used to being part of all of those things and trying to like game it out and figure it out, and improvising along the way. And a film set, you have, you know, 3 months of prep and then 3 months of shooting. And the day that you're shooting,
you just have to know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, and it had to be prepped many weeks ago. And I was just surprised at how much of it was sort of like that you need to articulate a vision to people who are very, very, very good at making that vision, but that's not you.
Right. So it's like it becomes less of you're not making a thing. You have to communicate the thing you want to make, and that's like a new skill.
Yeah, and really for them to be good at their creative work, what you're doing is saying like, this is what happens in this scene, and I want it to look and feel like this, and this is how we're doing it, and this is why. And then they have to take that and go off to their department and still have enough creative leeway and freedom to do what they do best. So their interpretation of your interpretation of that scene, right? And then there, so like the person who is the head of the art department, for instance, it is herself in charge of a bunch of an art director and a construction designer and all, like all these people who themselves are really good at that also. And by the time you get to the day when the thing is like you're not making what I think of as like impromptu creative decisions and being playful. You are pre-organizing all those things.
Like
so
a
it's
machine.
Yeah, you're running a big creative company. Yeah. But you're running the company, not the creation.
It's like so you've basically become like a manager almost.
Yeah, I mean, and I there's nothing uncreative about that. It's just very different from like I was so used to the sort of like play, the feeling of play as you test things, and there's like in a narrative film you're not testing. Right. You know what I mean? Like you have to know that when you like if you want to do a really really ambitious shot in a really expensive location. Maybe maybe you have like a pre-light day on that location so people can go figure out the problems, but you can't go there and be like try to figure out like
just wing it.
No, you have to like you got to know. And there's the crew is like there were days when if you include all parts of this, there's like 500 people. You know what I mean? Like it's
holy shit.
They're not all in the same place necessarily, but there's people constructing on set,
right.
like and not to mention like oh man, there were locations shut down for insurance reasons 3 days before you shoot there. You know what I mean? And that can be the case with any production. That could be a music video too. But there's those types of concerns and hassles go way up when you are dealing with very large budget, a very large number of people, a very large number of scenes, and your boss is a very large company. We made this movie for Apple, and like they're at the time, I don't know if this is still the case, but their insurance, like their regulations for what building you could shoot any scene in were identical to the regulations for where they could put Apple employees to work on the next iPhone, for instance. So if there was if there was asbestos anywhere in this building, they had to have a certain remediation process and blah blah blah. And we're shooting a period film
for a couple hours,
right? Like so, we're shooting in a roller rink that was built in the 60s or 70s, and literally somebody would come in and look at the snack bar area and go, oh, those are 9-inch squares. The 9-inch tiles, like 9-inch tiles only were made during the period when they were probably asbestos. And so if you want, you can either remediate, which puts the scene back that's $500,000 and you can't shoot this until after your movie's done.
I think Kevin would go,
I would start eating the tiles right in front of them.
I'm remediating them.
Well, so what you have to do, like you have to shoot around it, right? So you're like, now nobody can be standing in there. They can be ordering from there, but there can't be anyone standing in there.
Okay, so they at least let you still use the building, but they wouldn't let anybody step on the tiles.
In that case, that was the case.
Yeah.
Like, but there was also like, but there was a whole set that we had like the office building. We have 3 office buildings we shoot in over the periods of the growth of the company that made Beanie Babies, because it's about the history of the Beanie Babies. And then the second one, the one that we spend most of our time in terms of screen minutes, we had all these carefully planned shots in a set that got shut down 10 days before shooting because we had done asbestos remediation, and they still determined that it wasn't enough.
See, this is why I don't like doing work for other people, because it just like you lose kind of this control, and it drives me crazy.
It can be very difficult. On the other hand, you also get like what I love and hate about working on a narrative film of that scale is that is that I could do things and make things that never dream of doing on my own or with the band. And interestingly, like the day that film came out on Apple TV, which is now like a year or two ago, it was probably watched by more people on that day than all of my records have ever been listened. Like it's, billions hundreds of millions of people would have seen it, and I don't, and what's weird is that like unlike a rock show or unlike social media where there's like at least some feedback.
Yeah.
That's got to be
It's
great.
just-
It's just
Yeah,
there.
I think that might
You
actually be
can't
better that way,
read. Yeah.
It is, but it's also not. It's like I longed for like, can we sit and watch in a theater?
Sort of engagement.
You know, like we did
yeah.
have a few theater, like it showed in a few theaters, and like and it did well, and people liked it. But like, it's not even in a theater. You're like everyone's quiet and watching.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a rock show. You know.
Yeah. I know that earlier you said that you like writing and playing music and drawing and painting, but I would have thought that you were some kind of, that you were an engineer because all your videos have so much technology in them. I mean, you are an engineer
They're very
for sure.
mechanically
You
oriented,
have an engineering brain, but it seems like you also really like tinkering or like exploring like cutting edge technology stuff. Like you've got your finger on the pulse of.
Thank you. I appreciate
this
that. I don't
stuff.
think I do, but thank you.
It feels like it. It does. But is there? So you said that you wanted to do the 0G thing, and that took like 10 years to get there. Is there other things that like like moonshots that you want to film, stuff like that you're not even afraid to talk about because you don't think it's ever going to happen?
I don't think so. Like right now, I can't think of any that are like. There's a couple. The two videos we're working on, we're still like trying to find the right partners for and everything. So like those feel a little bit like moonshots right now. But
I think if we pull all the copper out of Jeff Bezos's yacht, we could recycle it and raise enough
Yeah.
money for the next one.
I don't think you would need even all of it. Some
think-
small percentage of that copper.
Will's idea is to get a Ferris wheel in the desert and spin it up really fast.
Yeah, can we
Go get it like
can we make
100.
a music video for you? We spin up a used Ferris wheel to like 1,000 RPM and then blow the axle off and send it to the desert.
I would love to see that. I would really love to see. Actually, that was one of the ideas that didn't happen.
A Ferris wheel?
Sort of.
Okay.
That didn't happen in our video for the one moment.
Yeah.
A lip sync section that didn't happen when the water balloon's hitting me. I'm supposed to be lip syncing there, and there's an ingenious machine, which is a Ferris wheel with little plates, little plexi plates with an etching of my lips on it, light edge lit like this. There's a light coming up like this, and so each plate spins past it.
Okay,
one
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So you just see that one, and it's got my lips, and it's spinning 6,000. Maybe 600 RPM.
Oh
it had
yeah.
to be 600. 6,000 would be like a fucking airplane.
Well,
But
but
it might have been.
it had to be extraordinarily fast because we're shooting at, you're shooting at, I guess that's probably like 300 or 400 frames per second. at that point.
6,000 would be crazy.
6,000 RPM. That's 100
crazy.
times a second.
That's crazy.
I don't remember. It's a lot of RPM.
Yeah,
it was so
that's-
many RPM that it was unclear if it was safe for me to stand anywhere near it.
Maybe it was
Nice.
6,000 RPM.
Yeah.
And then when we put it there, it actually like the hulking bulk of the machine was such that like you're watching this machine spin and much more than you're watching the beauty of those water balloons. And so
Yeah.
we're like, we'll just lose the lip sync for this part. But it's still sitting under my house in the crawl space under my house.
Awesome.
So if you want a giant steel wheel,
Yeah.
because I got to get rid of it anyways. It can be made to
You
go
just
many.
took it home with you?
Yeah, I mean, it was like it was a very expensive piece of machinery to
Yeah.
get made. Like that was one of those like in the production of that video, it was like, okay, so who do you if you need to make a Ferris wheel with your lips that
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
6,000 RPM, who do you call? And there are like
Who do you call?
there's a prop shop basically that specializes in high tech stuff for like horror films basically.
Okay.
They're not cheap. And so it was
Okay.
like that was like a big chunk of the budget went into building that thing that never got used. And it was like a beautiful piece of art in its own way.
How much did that cost?
I don't remember. I'm guessing it was between $9,000 and $15,000 or something.
Okay. That could be so
yeah,
much worse.
Oh no,
that's reasonable.
yeah, no, it could definitely be so much worse, but it was not. And I might be off. I mean, maybe it was 30. I don't know, but it was too much to have wasted on something that
Yeah.
didn't go in there. But and also too much to just like at the end of the thing be like, I don't
Mhm.
know, send it
Yeah,
to
put it-
recycling.
Put it under my
Yeah.
house.
I put it under my house. Yeah. And now I got to figure out how to get it out from under my house.
So if you like you're looking into the future, do you see yourself doing the music video stuff? Do you see any more movies? Do you see maybe whatever kind of comes, any opportunities that come?
I would
a new
like. I
challenge?
so wish that I need to have an answer for this for my own life, not just
Yeah.
like your dumb podcast.
That's someone's got to say it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I am in the like. This is why I sort of like veered into the AI land before, is that my suspicion is that the changing topography of culture is more relevant to answering that question than my own personal feelings about what would be fun to do. I have realized that there's sort of 3 buckets of that I need to account for. How do I like to spend the hours of my day? What things will I be proud of and animate me to do things, and how to pay my bills?
Yeah.
And those have become less and less connected over the years. That like they all seem to be one. Like I could not tell you the difference between them in my 20s. I now know that like I'm often not like I don't always love the process of writing songs. Like they can be very arduous because I'm really pissed at myself. It's not going well or whatever. But those are the things I feel most driven to do and feel most proud of when I'm done. Like I don't think I could not keep writing songs. Like they matter to me, you know? And whether I am paid for doing that in any kind of way that
you
like
just keep doing it, no matter
like
what.
it does matter to me, obviously, but like the inputs and outputs of those 3 boxes are wired differently than they have been, and I think that's changing along with the way culture changes. So I would not be surprised. Like I would love to make another movie with my wife. Having said that, when we finished the last one, we had a lot of opportunities right away that were sort of like, if you want to direct this thing for us, if you want to direct that thing for us, and we needed to take a break and go back to our other careers. Right now, the film industry is so screwed. Like I know so many people who are out of work in film right now that like it does not seem reasonable to be like, oh, well, maybe pick up the idea. Yeah, like you have to really, really, really fucking want it, you know. And I'm not sure I'm there right now. My guess is that what it will be is here's my answer.
Yeah,
I think that that there is another like that I'm beginning to pivot into. I'm excited about the way that the high art world is starting to recognize the changes that happened in the last 15 years, 20 years as being something that they need to engage with in a more meaningful way. I wouldn't be surprised if we started making, doing art shows that happened in galleries or in museums instead of on YouTube, or both. I wouldn't be surprised if we tried to figure out the way to make our rock and roll show happen in a theater setting more than a club setting. So I think there are creative spaces to play with that are opening up not only because of the changes in my life, but because of changes in the culture around us.
right.
Is that too abstract?
No, I think that's interesting. You're just sort of seeing the things that come up that are new, that are engaging with culture, and then seeing how that feels and playing with them.
Yeah, I think that there's stuff there.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
You just do new things.
Yeah.
New stuff.
It is basically that. It's new stuff. I don't want like the idea of trying to keep alive any stream of output just for the sake of keeping it alive does not appeal to me very much.
Anything that you would like to promote or share, or
I love your podcast. I want to promote this.
have you ever listened to it before?
Only when you guys reached out to say I should.
Tell
Thank
people to
God.
join our Patreon.
You should join our Patreon.
Yeah, our Patreon.
Ours.
What's your favorite animal?
What's my favorite animal?
Yeah.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Shout out to dogs.
Shout out to dogs.
Shout out to turtles.
I
Shout out
have
to
one.
turtles.
Well, my dog is really my wife's dog. She
Okay.
won't. She's scared of me. But she's
Your wife or the dog?
probably both. But definitely the dog. The dog actually. What's weird is the dog loves me. Knows that I'm a better scratcher.
Yeah.
Then I'm very, very good at handling a dog. Super good.
The best scratches.
Yeah. I'm definitely the best in my house. But I'm not safe unless my wife is in the room.
Oh my God.
So when my wife is in the room, the dog thinks I'm the greatest. And then as soon as the wife leaves, the dog is like out of there.
Oh.
I'm so scary.
Oh my goodness.
She's a rescue and she can't, whatever. Oh, Kevin.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you for having me and letting me like ramble. This is fun.
I hope we didn't delve too much into old topics, and
I don't think so. I feel like I really logoriaed on you guys.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next
Peace
week.
out, universe.